Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary. On Thursday, the United States formally withdrew from the World Health Organization. We made this decision to reclaim our independence, to protect American sovereignty, and to free our public health policy from a system that no longer serves the American people. The World Health Organization has lost its way. It's drifted far from its founding mission, and it's become mired in bureaucracy, in conflicts of interest, and in international power politics. During the COVID pandemic, those failures...
Death following the COVID mRNA injection. In that memo, Dr. Prasad writes, "This is a profound revelation. For the first time, the U.S. FDA will acknowledge that COVID-19 vaccines killed American children. Healthy young children who faced tremendously low risk of death were coerced at the behest of the Biden administration via school and work mandates to receive a vaccine that could result in death. In many cases, such mandates were harmful. It is difficult to read cases where kids 7 to 16 may be dead as a result of COVID vaccines. Putting these facts together, it is horrifying."
This is not for entertainment. This is very serious stuff. I'm deeply concerned about what Greg Locke said about Joel Osteen and Kenneth Copeland. And the fact that Greg Locke later went silent about it and may have even removed some of the evidence of what he said. He accuses them of being PDF files, you're supposed to say on YouTube, I'm told, of you know what, and worse.
Chicks. I'm one of your hosts, Michelle. It's Friday, which means we're going to bring you this week's headline news, which include, but are not limited to, the USA leaving the WHO. The who is your doctor, not the WHO. And what was the exact thing that RFK said? I want to get this right. We will never be ruled by them again. Here's the problem that I have with that statement. He's not wrong that we were ruled by them. And we're free. You're free. Do you feel free? I don't know. I still have a lot more freedoms that I would like. However, in the same vein, we're going to get to this too. And this is... So I'm really happy that we are leaving the WHO. It should have happened a long time ago. 7 Ange in the chat already says, good evening. I wish that Canada would get out of the WHO. I wish everyone, we're going to just pray God shuts the whole thing down. That's a happy thing. While I think that we are all very glad at this next headline, it's extremely depressing. The FDA has admitted that the COVID jabs killed American children. So, yay. I want to know what's going to happen, right? Who is going to be held responsible for this? And the COVID jab is, as from my understanding, somebody correct me in the chat, is still on the child vaccine schedule. So I'm hoping that after this admission, it's removed. It needs to be. All of the kids that developed myocarditis as the result of this. It's insane. It's totally, totally insane. The next, there's so many headline news stories. I hope we're gonna be able to get to them all. I know Leah doesn't want to do like 3-hour shows anymore. We're gonna try and keep those between the 2.5 and 2:45, because it's easier on us, it's easier on you, but there's so much to say. And it's really depressing that there's so much to say. Okay. Anyway, Erika, guy, I'm going to pull this up. I just have to, I think I copied it. I don't think I actually downloaded it. Okay. So we're going to get to this. There was a video that was actually doctored from Erika. She came out and she did her, there is a comedian lady out there that I'm not a fan of her other work, but she did, and we are going to play this tonight, I think. She did this impersonation of Erika's speech that she gave, essentially like threatening everybody. Like, I went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner because I wanted to face my accusers or something. You'll see it. And I don't know how Erika does it. She wears those like ice blue contacts, and she does this like squint, and it's like a smolder. I know it probably looks really creepy, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Somehow this comedian actress lady has mastered it, and she mastered gestures that Erika does that I didn't even pick up on until the actress lady did it. So anyway, MAGA and conservatives are completely split in half on Erika Kirk. And I can prove it to you because of the comments on us just sharing the video of how creepy she sounds. Like, she wears this black hat. I know you guys have all seen it, right? She's got the black hat on. She's got the black shirt. She's just so smoldering. Like, that's not even the right word, because that seems more like seductive. It's more like, you know what? I'm going to let my friend from Horatio describe this. I was going to make this as a Facebook post. I still might, actually. So this is from my very dear friend Horatio in the UK. He said, I just saw your post on Erika Kirk. We don't see or hear anything about her over here. That's the first time I've heard her speak, this video that we shared that's gone viral. So I only have that 60 seconds to go on. So just on that 60 seconds, she sounds like someone who's had US style public speaking coaching and isn't really good at it. E.g., the over-edged pause for effect, the solemn shaking of the head, the pleading eyes, etc. And so she comes across as one of those bad actresses who appear in commercials and political advertisements. On the larger point, one of the few things the left are correct about is that far too many prominent people on the right come across or unwittingly present themselves as creepy, untrustworthy, or just plain unlikable. E.g., and he says off the top of my head, Ben Shapiro, Dinesh D'Souza, Lawrence Fox, Connor Tomlinson, Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad, etc. If I agree generally or loosely for argument's sake with their general thrust and I don't like them, then why would anyone else? That's not to say that the left don't have them. The majority of them are, but the left are in the majority, and most people only listen to their feelings rather than their brains. So the left don't need to try to win people over because the general public's default position is the left anyway. So my point is, the salesmen the right are sending out to sell their quote product are a really, really terrible choice. As the phrase goes, do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? They might be right, but they are not effective. So that is a take from someone who has never heard Erika speak before. That she comes across as a really, really bad actress, meaning she's acting. It's not just me that finds her creepy. And I think there is, I just can't. Do you guys think, because I'm not married and I've never been married, do you think that some of this has to do with the fact that like people who have been married, I'm spitballing here. People who have been married can't imagine Charlie Kirk being married and madly in love with a complete fraud. Like, do you think that that's some of it? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that has to be it. Because if you take Charlie out of the equation, she's creepy. She's weird. She sounds like a bad salesman. Like, it's like, I don't want to be against Erika Kirk. Like, I don't want to be. Does anybody remember, who was it in the chat? Was it Barry, or I think it was our friend John that went to Plymouth with us? Several of you, after Charlie died, Erika comes out and she does this like in Charlie's office thing. Do you guys remember that? And she sounded weird, and I defended her, and I was like, you guys, and I got really mad at those of you that are like, I don't know, this sounds a little weird, right? And I was like, her husband just died, and and how dare you guys? And I'm telling you what, you can hear it in her voice. She means it. She's legit. Like, I want to support Erika Kirk. I want to support Charlie's widow. I loved Charlie. Okay, I cried. I came to you guys the day that he was shot. And I was like, pray. Remember the live video? Like, I love Charlie. Why would you not love his wife? You love Charlie, you love his wife. That's how things go. Like, I want to support her with everything in my body. Why does she have to be so creepy? Why does she have to sound so false? And why does she have to lie about everything? Okay. Like, dude, when we call out the fact that she has this past of like dating and drinking and kind of this soft porn music video and all of these things, when we call all that out, do you know what people say to us? Everybody's got a past. I don't know what's wrong with you. You be judging. I'm not judging. I don't care if she has a past. Like, I don't care that she has a past. She lies that she has this past. She says that she hadn't been dating anybody for like a long time before she met Charlie. She was dating his like best friend. She lies like about everything. So like, you don't know what you don't know. You don't want to see it. Like, literally, people are telling me that I got my head under a rock and I'm going like, there's a big like head, like your head's under a bigger rock. Like, I don't know. So anyway, so we were going to play that. Like, okay. But in other news, we do actually have more. I hate this salacious stuff, but I actually love Mike Winger. I think that he doesn't get everything right, but like he is honest and he is sincere and he's brave. Mike Winger is one of those ones that's calling out the abusive power of pastors sexually harming their parishioners and young women under their care. So Mike's been doing a phenomenal job. He's out there on the front lines. He takes a lot of heat. And he is, I've never, as far as like facts go, I've never seen him wrong about a fact. There's a couple of theological things I disagree with him on, but he's really good at that. So, Greg Locke, who you guys know that out of all the people, you guys are always like, name names. Greg Locke's name is easy to come off my lips. There's a couple people, I don't really like naming their names if I don't have to. There's a couple, whatever. This one, I'm telling you, like straight up fraud. Like he's a fraud. He lies. He literally seduced his secretary into marrying him. He had an affair on his wife. I mean, he's just like a disgusting lowlife. And I don't know if you guys knew this or if you remembered or heard of it. I know I've said it a couple times on the show. There was this time during COVID that he comes out and tells this, I wish somebody could find this clip, this elaborate story about how he was taken on this airplane with a bunch of other like big wig, like not big wig, but like other
to like this
special like underground bunker where there were computers everywhere. And he's like, guys, no, was this during no, it was after the election. I don't remember. It was sometime during COVID. Essentially with a Q-esque type conspiracy theory telling us that there are real powers that be that are going to save everything, right?
He was in a room.
And he was in a room and it was
computers.
And
they were monitoring all the situation and
I was like, when I heard him say all that, I was like,
you're either lying or you're hallucinating.
That was my thought. I wanted to believe he was hallucinating because I didn't want to believe that he was a liar. But there's been 2 interviews that we have done, three interviews that we did.
We don't mean to be a broken record. We've said this
we
a couple
never
times.
aired, and his was one of them. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, Mike Winger, Greg Locke, all that to say, Greg Locke has come out and he is trying to throw Joel Osteen. You spelled it wrong. How do you spell Osteen?
I don't care.
There's no L in it. It's not Olstein. It's just Osteen.
Oh,
it's not like Holstein, like a cow. But that's all right. So if it's misspelled anywhere, it's because I only fixed it in one spot after I'd already published it. So Leah sent it to me misspelled. Osteen. Doesn't matter. So Joel Osteen. That he and Kenneth Copeland are, and I like how Mike says this, PDF files.
So Greg Locke had said this like 3 years ago about Joel Osteen and Kenneth Copeland. And then it got scrubbed from the internet. And Mike Winger is like, if you know that Kenneth Copeland and Joel Osteen are, you know for sure. Whatever. Does it really matter?
No, it doesn't.
they're actual pedophiles is what he claims they are. First of all, why didn't you
Pedophiles.
stop them? Why didn't you stop them? And you're saying you are sitting on the evidence and they can come and sue you, blah, blah, blah. We'll bring forth the evidence and stop the pedophiles.
Exactly. Like he's such a big talker. So there is that. Then we do have good news. Anna Paulina Luna. She has led the bid to end the protections against pesticide companies. And it passed the House.
Yeah.
It will still have to pass the Senate, and it will still have to be passed by Donald Trump. But everybody in Mayhaw is thanking Rep. Anna Paulina Luna, and they are counting this as a gigantic win. And
so
it's everywhere.
Let's explain. That Congress was actually going to pass a law in the Farm Bill. The Farm Bill is coming up, and it's a lot of things are in this Farm Bill. This is like the most important Farm Bill that ever farmed. And a lot of representatives are passing like these amendments to get or vote to get certain things out. And one of those is immunity for pesticide
Companies.
Companies. However, the Supreme Court is hearing a case this week on the constitutionality of Donald Trump's executive order on giving immunity to these pesticide companies.
Which is even better.
Yeah.
That would just wipe it out altogether.
Yeah. And so that it shouldn't even be a thing. It's justices debate who gets to decide that pesticide labels need a cancer warning. Okay. So this is actually, no, this is a different one. Forgive me. The Supreme Court is not hearing Donald Trump's executive order on this yet. That's not what they're hearing. So scratch that from the record. The Supreme Court on Monday heard oral arguments in Monsanto Company versus Durnell is a case on whether a company can be held liable under state law for failing to include a cancer warning on its product labels when the EPA did not require such a warning and has concluded that the products in question are not carcinogenic. The dispute centers on Monsanto's popular line of Roundup herbicide products, whose main active ingredient is glyphosate. In 2015, a working group of International Agency for Research on Cancer, part of the WHO, broke with the EPA and top agencies in other countries by classifying glyphosate as probably carcinogenic. Its report paved the way towards more than 100,000 lawsuits against Monsanto in the U.S. as Americans who have been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma after using Roundup work to hold the company liable. The case that's now before the Supreme Court was brought by John Durnell in Missouri in 2019. Durnell contended that Monsanto was liable for damages under state law because it had not included a cancer warning on its Roundup product labels. Monsanto asserted, as it had in other cases across the country, that the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act, a federal law that regulates the use, sale, and labeling of pesticides, preempted Durnell's lawsuit, but because the FIFRA explicitly bars states from imposing additional or different labeling requirements on top of what's required by federal law, and because Monsanto could not have added a cancer warning without the EPA's approval that the company argued it would not have received because the agency had repeatedly concluded that glyphosate does not cause cancer. The trial court in Missouri disagreed with Monsanto on preemption, and the jury went on to award Durnell with $1.2 million in compensatory damages. In 2025, February, the Missouri Court of Appeals affirmed this judgment, holding that Monsanto had failed to show both that Missouri's requirements for product labels were at odds with federal law and that it had actually asked the EPA about adding a cancer warning to Roundup products. In January, the Supreme Court agreed to review this decision, which had deepened a split between the lower courts over whether the FIFRA allows state lawsuits like Durnell's. During the approximately 75 minutes of oral argument on Monday, the justices wrestled with the structure and the text of the FIFRA, the EPA's authority over Roundup product labels, and both express and implied preemption. Specifically, they considered whether FIFRA explicitly preempts lawsuits like Durnell's through the state's uniformity provision, which says that states shall not impose or continue in effect any requirements for labeling or packaging in addition to or different from those required by the EPA. Paul Clement, who argued on behalf of Monsanto, emphasized that Congress plainly wanted uniformity when it came to safety warnings with a pesticide label and contended that allowing suits like Darnell's undermines that goal. Clement highlighted the EPA's in-depth assessment of products like Roundup. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson pressed Clement on the pace of the EPA's research, noting that 15 years typically passes between when a pesticide product, including its label, is first assessed and registered and when it is reassessed and re-registered. If new research about the safety of a product is released during that 15-year period, she asked, why can't states play a role in assuring the pesticide companies update their labels accordingly? Similarly, now this is what is so crazy about this, is that this is a bipartisan issue that Ketanji, I can never say her name. Ketanji. Jumanji.
Leah.
Jumanji.
Can't do it. Stop
Justice.
it. Miss Jackson.
Justice Jumanji. However, we've also got Chief Justice John Roberts noted that states might be able to move faster than the EPA's review process. In that situation, Roberts said, it's not necessarily the case that they're doing something inconsistent with the EPA would do. It could be that they're responding to new safety information more quickly than the federal government is. In his responses to both Jackson and Roberts, Clement urged the justices to see the pace of the EPA's work as a feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
If the agency takes its time reviewing new research, he says, it's because it's charged with the responsibility of looking not just at sort of how the new information affects hazards and the like, but also whether this research is reliable. It looks like Clement, Principal Deputy Solicitor General Sarah Harris, who argued on behalf of the federal government in support of Monsanto. And that was the federal government part that I was getting at. So you literally have the federal government arguing on behalf of Monsanto.
But they ain't got their own lawyers.
She emphasized, they have plenty of lawyers. There's lawyers galore. Emphasized that the EPA these are the kind of lawyers that could hate everything Monsanto does, but because they get paid so much, they will argue for them. Okay. Money can buy a lot of things. And this is one of them. Emphasized that the EPA is not just sort of sitting on its hands and is in fact monitoring new information and might reveal previously unknown safety risks. And when such information comes to light, Harris continued, the EPA's response is completely different from a state just saying slap a cancer warning on the product, because the EPA is considering not just whether to add a warning, but to whether a company should recommend different quote unquote protective gear, things like that. Justice Neil Gorsuch questioned why states have the greater power to stop the product from being sold at all within their borders, but not the lesser power of forcing changes to a pesticide label. Whoa. So like I'm telling you, you've got Justice Jumanji here with,
oh my gosh,
with Neil Gorsuch, and they're kind of asking the same question. So states can ban things that the federal government might deem safe.
Right.
The state can just ban the product. So why could it not put on a label?
Sure.
Force a company. If you can force a company not to sell it in your state, then why couldn't a state force a company to put something on a label?
Let's go.
Harris contended that Congress chose not to give them that power. Ashley Keller, who argued on behalf of Darnell, contended that Monsanto is blurring an important distinction between the EPA's registration authority under the FIFRA and its authority to approve product labels. While the law makes clear that the agency will review proposed product labels in determining whether to approve a pesticide for sale, the FIFRA does not say, according to Keller, that a company can cite the EPA's review of a label to fend off state-level misbranding lawsuits. After 2 briefs and a lot of podium time, Monsanto still hasn't pointed to one word in the FIFRA's text that gives such weight to the EPA's label assessment. So we got Elena Kagan asked Keller how allowing state-level challenges of product labels squares with the FIFRA's uniformity provision, which is clearly designed to achieve uniformity in labeling. Keller responded that while it may be designed to achieve that, that's not the law Congress wrote. And as written, the FIFRA does not prevent juries from determining that a pesticide product needed a different safety warning. Kavanaugh pushed back against Keller's answer, questioning how uniformity is satisfied by a situation in which each state can require different things. Keller again asserted that expressing a desire to have uniform labels is different than actually writing a law that requires that every state have the same uniformity, meaning, and haven't you've seen these labels that say, California has deemed this to be carcinogenic.
Exactly.
But that's not the EPA.
Right.
The EPA in California is not the EPA. There's no EPA. The Environmental Protection Agency is federal.
Exactly.
So you've seen this. And I want to go ahead and I guess we'll play a few of these videos of our heroes on the Supreme Court steps. And I think we're going to start at, you're going to have fun bringing these up because boy, do I have a gazillion of them.
Yeah.
So see, I got to find where we're at here. Erika, Iran.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to get to Del Bigtree and Thomas Massey, Erika. We got, wow, this is a ton of that. Where are my boys? Here we go. Can you find it? It's like
probably
14 over.
Okay. I got Pete hates Seth.
Keep going.
To the left?
No, to the right.
Okay.
Whoa. Right? It's going to be Patriot Takes. Nope, I've gone too far.
There it is. I got it.
Okay.
Here we go. Thank you for your patience.
Here we
in this
got.
matter.
Yeah, thank you for your patience with this.
Except
Hang on,
the White
Thomas. That is so loud. Let's turn you down a little bit here, buddy.
White House Chief of Staff worked for a lobbying firm that accepted money from Monsanto Bayer, and that is wrong.
Susie Wiles.
That is why we have an executive order that we are fighting. The federal government and especially the executive branch do not have this power to issue these get-out-of-court-free cards, and we're going to fight it. Thank you, and God bless.
Awesome. Okay, let's go to the right here. Lauren Lee shares this out from Vanny Harry. We are done pretending this is normal.
Be clear. You cannot claim to care about health while protecting poison. You cannot tell Americans to eat real food while protecting the cancer-causing chemicals sprayed on it.
Come on.
You cannot stand with families and side with one of the most evil corporations in the world.
I'm supposed to cheer for that.
Let's be honest. We wouldn't be here right now if President Trump didn't sign that executive order.
That's right.
We wouldn't be here right now if they weren't inside this building arguing on Monsanto's behalf. We wouldn't be here right now if they didn't submit that amicus brief and that recommendation to the Supreme Court to look at this case when they've lost all over this country. You cannot stand with families and do that. We would not be here right now if Monsanto Bayer wasn't pushing legal shields through every branch of government, including the Farm Bill today at Congress. They made this their moment. Now we make it ours. And pretend.
Okay, wait. I'm going to.
There you are.
Okay, so I'm not sure if I've got my Del Bigtree. Where's your in? Do you have an in on here somewhere?
To the right.
There we go. There we go. I want to bring her up and play a few more clips from this rally.
Donald Trump says the Department of Justice to defend corporations against the will of the people, against the health of the people. We need to stand up and say, this is not making America healthy again. Liability protection is not American. It's anti-American. It's anti-free market forces. This is not what the Republican Party stands for. It's not what Democrats stand for. And it's definitely not what Americans stand for. Every child deserves to be healthy in America. So to Donald Trump, who has done some great things for Maha, you got this one wrong. And in your words, I'm going to say, we are going to fight.
I love you,
That's
Del.
awesome.
Big hugs. Okay, so CNN actually reporting the truth for once.
You cannot tell Americans to eat real food while protecting the cancer-causing chemicals sprayed on it.
We are gonna fight, fight, fight!
So we're at the People vs. Poison rally in Washington, D.C., where a group of some of the biggest names in MAHA have gathered together to protest against big companies that they say are poisoning Americans with chemicals.
A year and a half after the Make America Healthy Again movement helped propel Donald Trump to the presidency, it's facing a big test.
Let's be honest. We wouldn't be here right now if President Trump didn't sign that executive order.
MAHA's coalition of health and wellness influencers, vaccine skeptics, and environmentalists united under Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as a champion of their causes. As an environmental lawyer, he'd helped win a landmark settlement against the makers of the weed killer Roundup, arguing its chemical, glyphosate, caused his clients cancer, a claim the company denied. But this week, the Trump administration supported the current manufacturer of Roundup, Bayer, in a Supreme Court case over whether Americans can sue for alleged harms from chemical exposure. And in February, Trump signed an executive order protecting glyphosate as crucial to the national security and defense.
How did you feel when you saw that executive order?
I was disgusted. I was literally sick to my stomach.
A lot of the speakers here are people who were very active in helping RFK Jr. campaign for President Trump. There's a lot of conversation here about whether those promises are actually being followed through on. What is your sense of the movement?
I'm saying we are on the brink of falling apart. That I'm like in Red Rover right now, okay? I am diehard conservative, and I got this group of MAHA moms, and I'm trying to keep us together. There were millions of Democratic and independent moms in particular that voted Republican because they believed Trump, that he was going to do something about pesticides in the food.
MAHA is feeling betrayed and completely dissatisfied with what the administration has done.
The momentum of the MAHA movement has given many of its leading voices unprecedented access to a presidential administration.
In just 15 months, HHS has delivered historic wins.
The American people.
And they're not ready to give up that proximity to power, even as the pesticide issue threatens to overshadow their other gains.
I don't regret any of the boost or, the power that has been had, because there's a lot of amazing things that have been done.
How could they do this stuff at the same time as listening to what's so important to so many women and moms like you?
I don't think they understood what they did. They kicked the hornet's nest. And now I think they're starting to realize it.
As the midterms loom this fall, the pressure to please MAHA voters is on.
A lot of these moms held their nose and voted for Trump in 2024, and they're not sure that they're willing to vote red in the midterms again. It's very important for the GOP to recognize that MAHA voters are not loyal to a certain political party. MAHA voters are a coalition that's up for grabs.
It makes us actually, women with children especially, sit at home instead of going to the ballot.
MAHA is looking for any representatives that are willing to stand up against corporations and put their foot down.
And Democrats are recognizing there's power in embracing MAHA messaging.
This has got to be a movement that grows, does not divide, but multiplies.
Well, I've spent a lot of time telling my Democratic colleagues, I know this issue isn't on the top of your list, but pay attention to it.
Is this an opportunity to kind of get some of those voters back?
Absolutely.
And if anybody is supporting the things that I align with in the health and wellness space, then they'd probably have my vote.
This is do or die. This is sink or swim. This is the Titanic is going down. Hundreds of thousands of free votes that fell out of thin air in 2024 have vanished.
That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. And then guess who else was there?
Poison, a protest outside of the Supreme Court, and a rare collation of Republicans, Democrats, farmers, and activists rallied around one demand: accountability from the corporations that they say poison people. The protest happened outside of the Supreme Court this week as justices heard arguments in a major case involving Monsanto and a man who alleges that their product Roundup caused his non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Bayer, who acquired Monsanto in 2018, is one of the largest chemical companies in the world. And right now, what they're pushing for in court is the right to be immune from lawsuits when people sue them, alleging that their chemicals have caused cancer or other health harms.
Unfortunately, this administration has sided with the German company. They're trying to get immunity from the harm that their products may cause.
We have too much divisive politics in this country. We should all be standing up and saying, hey, on an issue as sacred as the food we eat, as the chemicals that are poisoning that food, as the companies that are trying to stick things in our foods that we can't even pronounce. Stop thinking in the left-right divide in our country. That divide has failed America.
Bayer has a full court press going on trying to give themselves immunity from poisoning people.
Monsanto, now owned by the German company Bayer, is an agrochemical company best known for its controversial products like Roundup, one of the most
nation in the industrialized world. Maybe we should look at the product that's being sprayed on over 90% of our crops in America and say, no more.
The case, Monsanto v. Durnell, could decide whether injured Americans can sue powerful corporations like Monsanto in their own state courts for harm or injury, or if federal EPA approval blocks those claims altogether, essentially giving government-approved companies immunity from the harm that they cause to human health.
This is in the air, it's in the water, it's in our food, it is in our semen, it's in our breast milk. We cannot avoid this poison.
But beyond the courtroom, critics point to a deeper concern, how the science behind these products is created and reviewed.
Monsanto staff actually wrote the science, the paper that was used to say that glyphosate was safe. It was retracted just several weeks ago.
Federal regulators like the FDA and the Environmental Protection Agency typically rely on safety studies conducted by the corporations themselves. Internal company documents released during litigation, often referred to as the Monsanto Papers, showed Monsanto helped craft and influence the scientific research used to support its own product safety.
My grandpa died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He used Roundup all the time, and now they don't even want liability. And they also don't want to let our states get our voice. They want to take away the state's voice and let it be up to the federal government to give them all these, passes.
Some critics also raised concerns about crooked industry influence, pointing to campaign donations, lobbyist ties, and backroom deals as proof of corporate or regulatory capture. The idea that agencies meant to oversee corporations on behalf of the people have become too financially inefficient. Plus, EPA are being heavily restricted, all after serious risks emerged, from cancer to environmental destruction to deadly lung disease. Critics also point to Monsanto's role in producing components of Agent Orange, a chemical the United States sprayed in the trees during Vietnam War, later linked to the painful deaths and serious health conditions of U.S. veterans. Now, it's the people and the states versus the federal agency.
So this is interesting. And Michelle, let's go ahead and do a little commentary. This is the people and the states versus federal agencies, with Trump himself being lobbied by a giant business that really came on the scenes in the late 80s, early 90s. Roundup wasn't necessarily a thing, certainly not Roundup Ready corn, which is what you eat all the time. When we try to explain to people what's wrong with Roundup Ready corn, there's two things. Number one, when you are spraying a plant that will not die, but all other plants around it will die, something within that plant is going to be very, very, very bad for you.
So that's two different things that you're talking about.
That's
here.
what I'm saying.
Right.
There's a couple different things that we're talking about.
Exactly. So Roundup itself is terribly deadly. I mean, in the long term, it's bad for you to breathe it in. It's bad for the environment.
But that's what I'm saying. Roundup Ready corn does not die with Roundup.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. If you can spray a plant where everything else, you said I'm talking about two different things.
You're talking about the GMO. These crops are genetically modified.
Yes.
So that they will not die. And the genetic modification that is within the plant is still being sprayed with the Roundup.
That's
so
what
the Roundup is getting in the plant. That's number one. Number two, we're not arguing. I don't understand why you think I'm arguing.
I don't know why you're saying that's two different things. I'm just saying.
To me, it's two different things. So one issue is the fact that what the genetic modification that's happening within the corn itself is killing our good gut bacteria inside of us. So GMOs are terrible. Even if the crop was not being sprayed with Roundup at all, the fact that the crop has been genetically modified is so bad for you. Okay, it's mostly bad for your gut. Then you add to the cocktail. That's all I was saying is it's actually two separate issues to talk about. Okay, so genetic modification.
My big things with the GMO are that they're being sprayed.
Okay,
with the glyphosate.
so that's not for me. You are consuming products that will then also genetically modify your gut.
Genetic splicings can unintentionally transfer an allergen from one species to another, like Brazil nut genes in soybeans. Antibiotic resistance. Some GMOs use antibiotic resistance markers. Critics fear that the genes could transfer a bacteria to the human gut, contributing to the global problem of antibiotic resistant superbugs. There's the GMO, obviously, component, and then there is the fact that we're spraying our food with Roundup that kills all life around it.
Right.
Right. And that it doesn't get washed off. The corn just comes, the soybeans just get ground up. And it's not only that, but Roundup itself is sprayed at such a high rate that the water is being contaminated, that watersheds are being contaminated.
Exactly.
Right. So I'm glad for the Maha people sticking up, but if people get mad at you and I for calling out Donald Trump, he literally signed into an executive order freedom from being sued. Instead of being for Maha, this is 100,000,000% against Maha. This is a slap in the face to anybody who voted for Donald Trump, hoping and thinking that he was going to take down and take on these companies. Now, guess who had some actual good oral arguments this week?
So the one what I wanted to highlight here was the BT crops. This is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
It's a little bit different than the Roundup, but it's also, I think it is probably part of this because the GMO crops are Monsanto. That it kills insects by producing a specialized protein derived from the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis. When targeted insects eat the plant, these proteins bind to their gut receptors, causing the gut wall to rupture and leading to death.
Right.
This mechanism is highly specific to certain pests. However, it's affecting human beings too. And so all of these people, a lot of people have IBS because the same thing that is happening to the bugs when they eat the corn is happening to us as humans. And all I could remember was the Bacillus. That's the only part of it I could remember. So I wanted to look it up real quick. All right. You want me to play this?
I actually want you to replay this. So this is AOC. I don't think she wrote this, but she's questioning Lee Zeldin, and this should not be a Democrat talking point. This should not be the Democrats going after this, but because the Trump administration is lined with pro-chemicals, pro-Monsanto, this is a rare moment where
keep talking. I just want to, before you press play,
Republicans and Democrats who actually believe or have, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't, but she's presenting a case that she does believe in making America healthy again.
No. Have you ever had people in your life that no matter what you say, they will find the opposite to say? That's this. So all this does is show you that.
Well, I think she ran on being.
I'm saying whether it's Cory Booker, I just feel like what they did with Cory Booker was like, we got to send somebody because we've got to capitalize on this. Find somebody that's kind of sympathetic to this, so we can have a Democrat that can come and like help sway the votes.
That older lady, she seemed. I think
some of these people genuinely believe it, but I guess what I'm getting at is maybe Leah wants to be a little bit more hopeful. You can have your hopeful.
No, I think that the left has traditionally been more environmental.
They have, but what I'm saying is, I think that what we're seeing here is this. Complete expose or exposing of the fact that, guys, it doesn't really matter what the talking point is. The opposing side, it's game. The opposing side is going to take the opposing side. If they can land on the side that they historically normally do, okay, good for them. They're going to feel good about that. But I can guarantee you that if Trump was for this and Trump was, fighting against Monsanto and Trump was all out there, the left would be up in arms. Then Monsanto would be going to the left and lobbying them and trying to get them to speak out on their behalf. It's just a game. It's whoever will speak the loudest for the people get the dollars.
So I'm going to say that there's a broken clock is right twice a day. Thomas Massie has proposed his Prime Act bill with a Democrat who is a cattleman.
I'm saying by and large, I'm saying overarching. Right. This is, to me, when I'm looking at this, I guess all I see is this kind of, if Trump was behind going against Monsanto, the Republicans that historically maybe would have gone with Monsanto, they would be like, oh, now we're doing this now.
Now, Secretary Kennedy was here a couple of weeks ago. And when he was asked about glyphosate and the rollbacks against protections against toxic chemicals, he said that we would, quote, have to ask Lee Zeldin about that. So you're here before us today. Administrator Zeldin, have you ever participated in a meeting with Bayer where you discussed the legal or litigation issues that the company was facing?
No, I never did.
Okay, I have
my meeting with them was very brief and that topic did not come up.
All right, I do. Are you aware of any outreach that they would have in your agency about this?
I could say that I directly had a brief meeting,
okay.
But it was a brief meet and greet and that topic did not come up.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'd like to submit EPA visitor logs from July 7th, 2025 to the committee.
Without objection, so ordered.
And you're certain they didn't bring up anything regarding your work?
I'm telling you 100%, absolutely. I maybe there was some brainstorming that was done beforehand of potential topics.
Are you aware of any?
That topic was not brought up.
Are you aware of anything brought up to any members of your staff or your team? Your senior team?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Okay, I would like to submit to the record some internal emails from the EPA that I have acquired via a Freedom of Information Act submission.
Without objection, so ordered.
We have documentation here, emails from your senior advisor for Agriculture and Rural Affairs saying that you were meeting with the Bayer CEO last year. He said in these emails that they will be bringing up some legal/judicial issues. More specifically, in this internal email in your EPA, it says that Bayer was specifically seeking to and discussing Supreme Court action. They will want an update on EPA's regulatory review, and that, interestingly, Bayer will provide a small thanks for updating the glyphosate webpage from the EPA and work on MAHA. Do you have any idea what they might have been referring to in this email?
Well, first off, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, it's possible that the team was doing brainstorming of potential topics.
Okay.
As somebody who actually attended
Thank you. I'm sorry, I just have 40 seconds. I'm not trying to be rude. This glyphosate update that they're referring to seems to be correlated to the EPA agency withdrawing its support for California's cancer warning on glyphosate. Now, this is important because 5 days after the EPO this year, Bayer filed their opening brief to the Supreme Court, citing Trump's executive order and hinging their case on the EPA's warnings or lack thereof of glyphosate. So we have internal emails from your agency saying that Bayer wanted to thank you and your agency for removing support for California's warning because their case before the Supreme Court right now hinges on you not warning the American people and withdrawing your support on glyphosate. Do you understand the conflict of interest that is before the American people right now, Mr. Secretary?
I understand.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
Thank you.
The gentleman may respond.
Okay, so right now EPA is completing an assessment due in 2026. And I understand this is a very important topic for many people in this country. This review that the EPA is being conducted, my guidance to dedicated career staffers, and we have people who have been there for 20, 30 years, is that I don't want to
It's taking a while, Secretary Zeldin, because
let me answer.
The Supreme Court is going to be making decisions this week, and Congress is voting this week on legal immunity.
Okay, but you made your point. Now, I'm asking, do you mind if I answer? This is an important part of this, and I'm sure you also care.
And I think the timing is also very important, Secretary Zeldin.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
Thank you.
So that was incredibly eye-opening, and thank you, ASC, for asking those questions, because this is very incredibly timely. And we do need to know what the EPA is doing behind closed doors and why does Monsanto and Bayer have a direct line to the EPA to help them out, to help them cover things up? I do believe this is a midterm destroying
You met
issue.
with him. You brought other MAHA members in there. What did you tell him? Because again, this is pretty politically complex.
It's very politically complex, and this is the issue that our entire agriculture system is really a fragile house of cards at this point because it is so extremely dependent on foreign inputs, both fertilizer, which you can see right now during the war, farmers are struggling, fertilizer prices are up. They are also dependent on Roundup-ready crops, which require heavy levels of pesticides. We don't manufacture most of those pesticides. In fact, the government in China, ChemChina, is a major manufacturer. They actually don't need to attack the United States because they already own us by virtue of the fact that we can't grow a lot of food now without a lot of pesticides. So we need to get off of that and regenerate our soil. This was an enormous political misstep in terms of what the administration did to have a real slap in the face to MAHA. Glyphosate is a banner issue for MAHA. We're very concerned about its impact on the body. It's in the air, it's in the water, it's in our bodies, in semen. It's going down umbilical cords. This is a very important issue to MAHA. But you do have the economic factor as well, where we do need to be able to create our own products. So it was understandable, the reasoning behind it. What wasn't understandable is why it needed to be an executive order to shout it from the rooftops and potentially provide a liability shield also around Bayer and all manufacturing. That seemed unnecessary, and it absolutely lit truthfully, it might cost the midterms for the Republican Party.
Along those lines, 81% of Democrats, 78% of Republicans, 77% of independents say they're very, very worried about pesticides in food. To your point, they're going to vote in the midterms, and I think Republicans need to pay attention to that. It seems like you got the president's attention in that meeting. We will see what happens there.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do have the president's attention, and it's worse than I think it's worse than we think. Now I think, hold on. I'm going to have to bring up my main, because I want to go to Ron Johnson here now. We do have some good news. Not everything is depressing this week. I will tell you, we have some good news from Ron Johnson. So it's not good news. It's good news that we're not covering this up anymore. So FDA officials covered up 25 COVID shot safety signals, including sudden cardiac death, heart attacks, blood clots, and neurological damage. There are going to be some things and some people held accountable. And for that, I am grateful. And I want to praise those things.
Here's the sheet. These are the adverse events that they were showing a safety signal for using the new method. Bell's palsy, sinus rhythm, cardiac failure, chronic, acute left ventricular failure, agonal rhythm, which is severe arrhythmia generally occurred at the end of life, pulmonary infarction, cerebral artery occlusion, aortic stenosis, sudden cardiac death, hypertensive emergency, basal ganglia stroke. Now, these aren't minor. Remember, we're always told, adverse events are rare and minor. These are not minor adverse events. And these safety signals were showing, and they were strong, but they were being hidden because FDA officials refused to acknowledge that the current system they were using was invalidated. And they had to look at the new system that unmasked these things. Our report goes on to detail how federal officials refused to acknowledge these revelations or take action to warn the public. Instead, senior FDA officials repeatedly tried to stop Dr. Scharfman from continuing her work or communicating her findings outside of FDA. In September 2021, Dr. Marks informed Dr. Patricia Cavazzoni, the then director of CEDAR, that Dr. Scharfman, who was a CEDAR employee, quote, has been asked to cease and desist conducting her data analysis. Dr. Marks complained that Dr. Scharfman's work had become, quote, a major distraction, that her efforts could create erroneous conflicts that feed to anti-vaccination rhetoric.
Today, I released, this is Senator Ron Johnson, a report showing that Biden health officials knew that the safety signals for COVID-19 injection injuries were being hidden by their VAERS analytic algorithm. They were shown an updated algorithm that signaled serious adverse events, but they refused to use it. Their cover-up jeopardized the health of millions of Americans. Oh, I get so sad. Okay. Documents produced by the Department of Health and Human Services to the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations show that beginning in early of 2021, Dr. Anna Seversman, who at the time was a senior medical officer and safety data mining developer at the FDA, used an updated data analysis technique that identified dozens of statistically significant safety signals for adverse events associated with COVID-19 vaccines. I can say vaccines now, can't I? Look at that. Because I'm reading this from the government and not from outside of the government, or the government in power and not the government outside of power. This is the FDA now. YouTube, who took everybody's channel down, everybody's video down. They would say that we need to align with all the government information. But the government information was being hidden from us. We knew. She immediately shared her findings with other FDA officials, including officials responsible for the COVID-19 vaccine safety surveillance. And I can say that. You're not allowed to say those words. YouTube has an algorithm. They will flag you and take your video down, but not now. But they largely ignored her and eventually told her to stop her data analysis. Specifically on March 26, 2021. I'm so emotional, guys. We worked so hard on this. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into this. Our friends in the We Awaken tour, we did this for like 5 years to expose this, to stop the cover up. We were censored. We were so censored. I've lost when I say I lost to YouTube, what that means is the powers that be shut down our ability in public. This was our First Amendment right to speak, guys, just to speak. Our whole big free speech debate was that, well, YouTube's a private company and blah, 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 blah. And we're all like, but it's now the public square and you can't tell somebody what they can't say over the telephone unless it's illegal or pornography, but they allow pornography. I lost an entire ex Twitter account that has not been given back. Those relationships that I made, those friendships I made, I found Dr. Said Hyder with that account. I found the guy who did fluvoxamine via that account. We had a lot of people on our show with that account that was taken down. It was taken down because of our COVID-19 anti-vaccine stance. Our voice has been constantly stifled. Your voices. Why? Because you were standing up for what was right. You were the 20% that were unvaccinated. We had to come up with, somebody said, oh, you're low IQ if you say the jab. Why do we say the jab? We say the jab because we're not allowed to say vaccine, vax. We had to put like a different letter in for an X. March 26th, 2021, right as that vaccine, it feels good to say it now finally, but I feel like I can't honestly say it, was coming out. Dr. Sarfsman, that is a weird name, who worked at the FDA's Center for Cider, shared a data mining analysis of COVID-19 vaccine adverse events using a newer methodology that reduced masking. Masking is a known data limitation that FDA's current data mining method, that can inhibit the detection of safety signals for adverse events. Dr. Sarfsman's analysis, which was done in collaboration with Dr. William Dumuchel, and then chief statistician at Oracle and inventor of the data mining algorithm that supported the FDA's then data mining system, found 49 examples of extreme cover-up, extreme masking, with over 20 of those examples of adverse events now showing a statistically significant safety signal when adjusted for the masking. In other words, by using a methodology that accounted for a masking limitation. Dr. Sarfsman and Dr. Dumuschel uncovered approximately 25 statistically significant safety signals for adverse events associated with COVID-19 vaccines that were not previously detected by the FDA's current methodology. So Dr. S shared similar findings with other senior officials at the FDA in this instance and at least 3 other times in April, May, and July of 21, when her and Dr. Du their analysis yielded even more statistically significant safety signals with higher values for adverse events, including acute myocardial infarction associated with the Moderna and the Pfizer, non-site specific embolism and thrombosis associated with the Johnson and the Pfizer, dementia associated with Pfizer, and death and sudden death associated with Moderna and Pfizer. However, rather than warn the public, it sounds like the Johnson & Johnson at least didn't have the sudden death. Rather than warn the public or hold distribution of vaccines for further investigation, records appear to indicate that Biden health officials ignored the statistically significant safety signals uncovered through the new methodology and were more concerned about Dr. S's efforts rather than her troubling findings. In April of 2021, what was happening in April 2021? We were driving our way to the first Health and Freedom Conference in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So while we are getting together all of these outspoken people about the vaccine, behind the scenes, the FDA, has information that people are dying.
And we knew they knew it early on.
But we now have,
the goods.
have the goods, okay? So after Dr. S emailed a data mining analysis apparently underscoring the limitations of the FDA's current system, one senior FDA official wrote to his colleagues, before we potentially reach out to Dr. S, we should meet internally. Maybe considerations not suited to email. What does that mean, Michelle?
They don't want it to be, they don't want to trail.
And they don't want to talk to her.
Right, exactly.
So in May, we were in Florida doing the Health and Freedom Conference in 2021. Senior officials in the FDA Center for Biologics and Evaluation and Research, CYBER, the unit responsible for the COVID-19 vaccine safety surveillance, including Dr. Menschnick and a bunch of other people, they drafted an email to Dr. S that Dr. Zinderman eventually transmitted to her, directing Dr. S to hold off on creating and sending the data mining reports. And we don't want to know. We don't want to know. Don't make the reports that you're going to make that unmask the safety signals.
Right.
Don't create those reports. Then Dr. Peter Marks, a staunch supporter of the COVID-19 vaccines, who at the time led CYBER, eventually warned Dr. Patricia Cavazzoni, the then director of CYBER, that Dr. S's data mining could create erroneous conflicts that feed into the anti-vaccination rhetoric. Although senior officials at the FDA instructed Dr. S to hold off on generating and distributing her and Dr. D's analysis, she continued doing it. So Dr. S tried to convince her colleagues that the data mining method she was sharing was more effective than the method the FDA was using. She wrote to FDA officials in early of May of 2021 that her and Dr. D's method strongly reduces confounding and that the safety signals in this method are much higher than the signals detected with the FDA's method. As highlighted in Chairman Johnson's report on myocarditis and the COVID-19 vaccines on May 24th, 2021, draft notes from a meeting involving the federal officials contained the question. You want to read that?
Is the vaccine adverse event reporting system bears signaling for myocarditis?
Or pericarditis, yeah, the child.
Right.
Yeah.
Myopericarditis, actually.
The answer stated for the age group.
Myopericarditis.
Yeah, child.
Yeah.
Child
Peri.
child heart problems.
Yeah.
For the age group 16 to 17 and 18 to 24, yes, despite this unambiguous acknowledgement that this
pericarditis
signal, Biden health officials continued to fail to immediately warn the public about the risk of cardiac events associated with these vaccines. In early of June of 2021, we are like, this is like, I'm just having flashbacks And I'm just now overlaying what we're doing with the Health and Freedom, meeting like our buddy Tom Renz and meeting Dr. Artis and meeting all these people speaking up.
Having Del Bigtree on the show.
And having Del Bigtree on the show at that
when we
time.
were cool.
Okay, Dr. S emailed an FDA colleague about ongoing discussions between the FDA and the CDC about these jabs. I still have to call them that. And the myocardial, the heart events, and the lack of signals in VAERS and other resources. She enclosed Dr. D's data mining analysis from a month earlier showing higher safety signals. So in July of 2021, Dr. S warned the FDA officials that she and Dr. D's data mining method detected an increased mortality signal. What does that mean?
More people be dying, man.
Reminding her colleagues that she and Dr. D use a method that automatically unmasks signals that remain hidden by other data mining methodologies. Records indicate the FDA did not make any adjustments to its data mining methodology as recommended by Dr. S. However, Dr. S continued to advocate for the newer methodology. She co-authored in June of 2022 a paper with Dr. D and others published in the journal Drug Safety, which discussed their data mining.
That's the end.
Yeah, that's the end. So that was put out by
Ron Johnson.
Oh, you can read more there. Okay. Thank you, Ron Johnson. And I'm actually want to play, hang on, is it forward or backwards? I got to find, okay.
Here.
So
Memo
here
that
is
is
the one that really hit me this week. They knew that kids were dying.
Yeah, they're murderers. They should go to jail.
They knew kids were dying.
A memo that is apparently from CBER Director Dr. Prasad in December 2015, where apparently within FDA you're reviewing, I think it was 96 autopsies of child death following the COVID mRNA injection. In that memo, Dr. Prasad writes, "This is a profound revelation. For the first time, the U.S. FDA will acknowledge that COVID-19 vaccines killed American children. Healthy young children who faced tremendously low risk of death were coerced at the behest of the Biden administration via school and work mandates to receive a vaccine that could result in death. In many cases, such mandates were harmful. It is difficult to read cases where kids 7 to 16 may be dead as a result of COVID vaccines. Putting these facts together, it is horrifying to consider the U.S. vaccine regulation, including our actions, may have harmed more children than we saved. This requires humility and introspection. It requires oversight." And so I wrote a letter to you and your agency back on December 15th. Of the 10 responses, I've got 3 out of 10. No responses, no response in terms of the documents I requested. So I'm asking you, please, will you commit to responding fully to my December oversight letter?
You have my 100% commitment.
You know, what I appreciate here is Ron Johnson holding RFK Jr.'s feet to the fire.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Evidence that the messenger RNA.
The mRNA vaccines are all completely contaminated. The Pfizer's are all full of SV40. SV40 was what in my day we put into mice to make them grow tumors.
They got all the evidence that the messenger RNA vaccines they're all completely contaminated. They're just not fit for purpose. The Pfizer's are all full of SV40. SV40 was what, in my day, we put into mice to make them grow tumors so we could pour chemotherapy into them to see if it worked for the tumors. And we're putting this into humans for a disease that hasn't killed anybody for at least 2 years. It is beyond belief. And that's really what I cannot understand. Now, today, I got sent something from Australia, which I must say, it's the closest I have to being holding my stomach and being sick. It was a race of Morrison, the Prime Minister, doing a deal with Moderna for messenger RNA vaccines for the next 10 years, that you will buy 2 billion Australian dollars of these vaccines off the next 10 years, and they will target all sorts of diseases, and they will be given to children. This is a gene therapy that they didn't. How much were they bribed to do that? Because I must say, if I was given $1 billion to do this, and it meant it going into children, I would walk away even if it was 10 billion. To me, it's beyond belief that you could even consider it. These people behind Moderna and Pfizer are just pure evil, and they must be held to account.
Jeez.
They are pure evil, and they must be held to account. Well, speaking of holding people to account.
Let's read some comments.
Okay, go to the comments, yeah.
All right, let me back up here. 'Cause I know you guys had a lot to say about all of this. Earlier, Liz talks about the BT, and we actually use BT. She says it's ironically an organic insecticide. It's totally innocuous to use on your plants. We use it for our squash to kill
it makes their stuff. It makes caterpillars grow up big and then blow up. But if you put the BT in the actual corn or soybean, then it gets inside of you and you blow up.
Let's see. Geo says biowarfare, a danger to life label would expose everything. Bayer Monsanto needs shut down. Don't fold RFK Jr. It's Mayha in reverse. It is affecting people's microbiome. Opposing the truth is career now. I love being wrong because by default I learned something. Sharon says many women had 20-week or late miscarriage and stillborns after the shot too. Those babies are forgotten and not counted. I know, it's so sad. Let's see. Dentist Sherry says 2020 to 2022 was brutal. Geo says we rejected the prick. Let's see. 8 Ball says this is
I haven't
illegal
heard people call it that.
Document because 18 U.S.C. section 241 to 242 says we as civilian can sue other civilians and companies that try to step on our constitutional rights. Very well said. Geo says Boris the Jabber owns it. Him and his eugenicist dad Stanley. That's over in the UK. Geo's in the UK along with Barry. Sherry said I had so many people unfriend me and say I wasn't being a good Christian because of how I spoke out against it.
Yeah.
Shauna says we have family members that have health issues now from that stupid jab. 8 Ball says, then Sherry, then you know you were over the issue because you were taking flack. Amen. 7 Ange says, Michelle, when I had severe pain in my knees, I took a tablespoon of black seed oil orally every day and also mixed black seed oil, DMSO, and rubbed it on my knees. I no longer have problems with my knees. All right, so Leah's been rubbing DMSO on my back and my rear end the past, 2 days? We were doing it a while, the first time it went out.
We used it a ton. And Michelle's like, things are not working. Something is not right. We were going to go back to the doctor and get another muscle relaxer or something. And I was like asking, I was praying, and the Lord was like, remember? I was like, what did we do last time?
I was
what
doing
did we
castor
do
oil
last
packs
time?
with the magnesium flakes, water, and the DMSO.
Yes.
So we've been.
Well, let's not
Why don't you tell them what you
wait.
said to me today?
Wait.
You said, I hope I don't have nightmares of your backside. What is that? Here's the deal. Your backside probably looks almost identical to my backside.
No, but nobody should ever see it.
And first of all, for anybody that doesn't know, we're sisters and we don't even hug. We don't touch. We're not like that. We're not a close family. Then she takes her hands on my backside and she pats it and she literally goes, little butt.
Little butt. Okay, so I was thinking last time.
You're unreal. Taking advantage of somebody in their most vulnerable state.
But it has helped and it's really worked. So you're right about the DMSO. But here's what I just remembered.
Oh my gosh.
So we ran out of magnesium flakes.
We did. Yeah. And you ordered them.
So I ordered them.
Yeah.
So you could take another bath.
Right.
But let's not put peppermint in it.
Oh my gosh. No. That
so your back is hurting so bad. And you were like, let's put a little pepper in there. But what happened was
the stopper was out of it. So I went like this and I was like, you know what?
It can't be that bad.
So do you guys want to remember when I did the video? Don't do that because here's the deal with peppermint. It convinces your body that you're cold.
You're freezing.
And I went into I felt like I was going into hypothermic shock.
Yeah.
I called Leah in tears. I couldn't get, I was trying to take dish soap to scrub it all off.
But here's the thing. The water was hot.
The water was hot.
But you could not feel the hot.
You couldn't feel the hot water
burn
at all.
yourself.
Yes.
You had to wash it off.
I tried. It took forever. It's terrifying. All right. Let me read some more comments. Gio says this. Sherry says, oh, I knew it. It was not fun taking the hits from people. LOL. Gio says the spike protein clots are in everyone that took it. Then maybe also us, if shedding is proven. I know that's so sad. That it's really important to do the spike busters and to even if you've ever had COVID to continue to get that. 8 Ball says that's why I take nattokinase. That is really good for getting the spike out. So good job there. Shauna said, we had family members rolling their eyes at us for not doing it. Ohio Croatian says, Ohio Governor DeWine and his jab shot Czar Amy Acton. Amen. And she's running for governor on the left right now. She won't win. It's going to be Vivek, and I don't want him to win either. Sherry says, they said young men were really affected. I was so afraid my son's jobs would require it. I told them they could move home if they lost their jobs, and we would figure it out. Luckily, neither of them was forced. Praise God.
Yeah.
8 Ball says all of them, including Trump, Fauci, all of them should be in jail for pushing poison. Gio says it's premeditated murder. 7 Ange, DMSO is not only a painkiller, it also helps carry other natural salves deeper into the skin.
Yes.
8 Ball wants to know, but did COVID truly kill anyone, or was it just flu and other things, and then the Zine started killing people? So my theory on this is that just like with any other flu, you can die. I mean, most of the time people with the flu die from pneumonia. I don't know about COVID and developing pneumonia. So I think that there are risks to COVID. I know that our uncle was very close to death. And ivermectin and antibiotics and steroids turned him around. So praise God. But I do think that you're onto something. I think most of the people that were dying from COVID were dying because of ventilators. And I'm not done with my comments and all that. So let's see. Shauna says no on the peppermint. Gio says, be happy you have a big sister that cares. I know, it's so true. Chris says, Dr. Artis has some great products for getting the foreign proteins out of your body. Jules says, DMSO is the best, working on formulating products with DMSO. Oh, that's awesome. So Jewel is our natural health practitioner in the chat. So happy that Jewel piped in there. So thank you for that.
Okay, so we may be getting some people held accountable. A former senior advisor to Anthony Fauci has been indicted. Now, if you remember, Biden went around
Nick was to the left.
doing all kinds of fake, pardons that I don't think he is.
Okay.
Fake pardons or
maybe
preemptive pardons.
Keep going way.
And so he preemptively pardoned
there it is.
Anthony Fauci. However, a former senior advisor to Anthony Fauci has been indicted. And I know that oh my gosh, you guys rang me on the clothesline for saying that Comey had been arrested when he had just been indicted too.
But no, a warrant for his arrest had been issued.
Sorry. Okay, so but here we'll get to Comey in a minute. This is senior advisor to Anthony Fauci has been indicted for his role in the COVID-19 cover-up. And there's a whole big article we're going to talk about Dr. Fauci in a minute.
Former top advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci now facing criminal charges. This over an alleged cover-up involving research into the origins of COVID. Rich Edson on this story. Intriguing, Rich. What you find out there in Washington?
Yeah, it is, Bill. The Justice Department has charged David Morins, a doctor, with conspiracy, claiming he concealed federal records to counter evidence that COVID-19 may have leaked from a lab in China, all to help restore a controversial coronavirus grant. Morins, a former aide to Dr. Anthony Fauci, testified before the House's COVID Select Subcommittee nearly 2 years ago about emails he'd sent in February 2021, claiming that he'd learned to make emails disappear after he received Freedom of Information Act requests.
Ever delete or attempt to delete a federal record?
No, but let me explain why. When I came there in 1998, we were instructed to delete emails or to move them into PST files frequently because they jammed the computer.
The Justice Department says Morins used his personal Gmail account to exchange non-public information. The indictment also claims an unnamed co-conspirator gave Morins wine for his, quote, behind-the-scenes shenanigans, then suggested he could push scientific commentary in a prominent medical journal advocating that COVID-19 had natural origins. That's a competing claim with the lab leak theory. The indictment says the co-conspirator could also provide meals at top restaurants in Paris, New York, and Washington, D.C. In April 2020, the NIH terminated that back coronavirus grant awarded to EcoHealth Alliance, who then contracted the Wuhan Institute of Virology to conduct that research in China. From the start of the pandemic, President Peter Daszak worked to discredit any theory that COVID-19 had leaked from that lab.
So here's the thing, though. If this guy's head rolls, he better inform on other people.
So this is the actual U.S. Department of Justice. So if there are some things coming out, there are some people that are going to be held accountable. These allegations represented profound abuse of trust at a time when the American people needed it most during the height of a global pandemic. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, as alleged in the indictment, Dr. Morenz and his co-conspirators deliberately concealed information and falsified records in an effort to suppress alternative theories regarding the origins of the COVID-19. Government officials have a solemn duty to provide honest, well-grounded facts and advice in the service of the public interest. I am starting to like
Todd Blanchett. So let's talk about that. So this week, James Comey, which we have not covered yet,
has been indicted
in today's show, except for what we just said, has been indicted, and a warrant for his arrest has been issued. Can we confirm whether he's actually turned himself in yet or not? Because that was a couple of days ago, and and that was unknown. It would seem, I put that in air quotes. So either Bimbo Bondi was being controlled.
Yes, he turned himself in Wednesday.
Okay. All right. So either she was being controlled by people within the administration, and Todd Blanche is not in on that, and Trump didn't know that he needed to be able to be controlled. I don't know. My point is, it would seem that this is not like whatever was keeping Bondi from doing work that she was hired to do was not coming from Trump, because I don't think that Todd Blanche would be going forward. I mean, himself.
What did he do last week? My brain is already
something else, but
we
I'm
already
just saying,
played. He and Kash Patel actually were
that was the James Comey video that you shared everywhere.
No, we did a show on it. We played clips of him, and it was another thing.
Was it an
organization, SPLC.
Oh yeah.
The SPLC.
So now that all this stuff is actually happening, I guess for me and you guys, anybody that's left that's still supporting Trump that watches my show, God bless you. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, it would seem, I can judge a tree by its fruit, that if Trump himself didn't want Todd doing stuff, he wouldn't be doing it. So what I'm saying is, I think that Bondi was controlled. And, whoever was controlling her is probably mad she's gone. I don't think, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It does seem like Todd's not
Could we
controlled.
I have some good news for you Q people. I'm going to play a little bit more.
Speaking of the Q thing, you're going to pull up the Trump
the
thing?
DOJ has indicted Morenz. Okay, we're going to play.
That, did we?
No, there's a little bit more.
You testified that you did not delete
this is current.
any
The other one
federal
was from
records.
2 years ago.
This is from last year.
But on February 24th, 2021, you wrote, quote, "I learned from our FOIA lady here how to make emails disappear after I'm FOIA'd, but before the search starts. So I think we are all safe. Plus, I deleted most of those earlier emails after sending them to Gmail," end quote. And the next day on February 25th, 2021, you wrote, quote, "But I learned the tricks last year from an old friend, Marge Moore, who heads our FOIA office and also hates FOIAs," end quote. Yes or no, is Marge Moore the FOIA lady you were referring to?
She was at the time. I believe she's retired since then.
Did the NIH FOIA office instruct you on how to delete emails or avoid FOIA?
No.
On October 25th, 2021, another scientist wrote, quote, "David is concerned about the privacy of text and other messages from his cell phone to you and me because he has been using a government phone. This came from Tony," end quote. Sir, did you ever have any conversations with Dr. Fauci regarding using personal phone or email to communicate with Dr. Daszak?
I don't remember it. It's possible. I probably wouldn't have remembered it, and I don't remember it. He and I usually never talked about
if I did something wrong, I probably would not recall that I did it, because never recall. That's your line out. What do we tell guys? If you're ever,
I do not recall.
I do not recall. It doesn't mean that
Did
you
you have
didn't
sex
do
with
it.
that woman? I do not recall.
You do not recall.
Don't. So many women.
You do not
that
recall.
kind of stuff. It would be very unusual if it happened.
On January 18th, you testified that you did not have any conversations with Dr. Fauci regarding EcoHealth. On October 25th, 2021, you wrote, quote, "Peter, from Tony's numerous recent comments to me, they're trying to protect you," end quote. You meaning EcoHealth and Dr. Daszak. Dr. Morenz, did you ever have any conversations with Dr. Fauci regarding EcoHealth?
Well, the ones you just mentioned, I don't have any recollection of that.
No recollection?
No recollection, no. Let me just say what I do remember is one time in a face-to-face meeting, he referred or alluded to some stuff that was in the press. I don't even think he said what it was, but it was about, I assumed it was about Peter's grants and press reports about it, and the ending of the grant. And I said to him, sort of out of the blue, guessing what he was really thinking, I said to him, Tony, I know you would have never been involved in getting rid of that grant. And he didn't respond. He just sort of looked at me and...
So Dr. Fauci was always a big defender of EcoHealth and their right to receive federal funding.
I can't speak for him. I think he had great respect for them. And when
Okay, he's a good liar. Pressure on DOJ to prosecute Anthony Fauci grows after advisor is indicted. The indictment of Anthony Fauci's former advisor, David Morin's, Tuesday revived calls for the Justice Department to prosecute Fauci himself, but he's got that preemptive pardon, so I don't know exactly how that would work, for allegedly lying to Congress about funding risky research in China before the COVID-19 pandemic. Just 2 weeks remain before the 5-year legal deadline on May 11th to indict Fauci for denying under oath that he funded gain-of-function experiments that modified bat coronaviruses in the same city where the pandemic started. Morans is 78 years old, and his age does actually make you sympathetic to him, I got to tell you. Was charged with 1 count of conspiracy, 2 counts of destruction, alteration, or falsification of records in federal investigations, and 2 counts of concealment, removal, or mutilation of records related to the origins of COVID-19. He faces the rest of his life in jail. Critics say Fauci, who is 85, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
The most responsibility that he should be hauled into court. Trump told the Post in a phone interview on March 31st that he intended to look into Fauci's status. And Republicans say they believe acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who is seeking the role permanently, might be willing to test Trump's assertion that former Joe Biden's preemptive auto pen pardons, including Fauci, are invalid. 99% of this country have no idea who Morans is. It's Fauci that they will blame for one of the worst government catastrophes in the history of America. And so the test for the auto pen is Fauci. The Morans indictment is great and we applaud it, but there are a lot of people out there that want to see Fauci held to account for the damage he wrought. Howell, whose group sent the Justice Department a draft indictment for Morans last year, believes the advisor's actions were closely linked to his boss. Fauci lied about one of the most damaging events in American history routinely and was behind the massive cover-up of key factors. Now, Rand Paul is loving this, but he wants more. He's ready for the scalp. Remember, he and Fauci sparred. Fauci lied to, told the Post that we've been looking through a lot of information on this for the last year or so. The Trump administration has been much more forthcoming than the Biden administration ever was. On Anthony Fauci's case, we think lying to Congress is a felony. We also think that destroying federal records and advising others to destroy federal records is also a felony. So I think there's opportunity there. There was a vast, both organized and unorganized conspiracy. Oh, wow. Conspiracy. It's not just conspiracy theory. If it's the truth, to cover up the fact that the United States government was funding the research that led to the pandemic. Trump said in December that Biden was so mentally diminished that he was either unable to authorize the auto pen pardons or that his staff did so without his knowledge, setting the stage for a potential legal test case. To determine the validity of those pardons, you would have to indict somebody who's been pardoned, and Rand Paul says, I think that is worth going after. There's some questions that have never been asked before. Is the pardon power so broad that you can pardon people for a period of time and not for a conviction?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to determine whether Biden was aware these pardons happened. My guess is that somebody around him will make him aware of which pardons he did by the time they get to trial. But what matters is whether he was aware at the time. I'm for pushing to find out, and I think the only way to find out is to take it to court. Paul said it's also possible that Fauci committed crimes after Biden's pardon and that it might involve some question of conspiracy charges. Fauci would face up to 5 years in prison if convicted just for lying to Congress. And conspiracy charges could do another 5 years. Now, he would probably spend the rest of his life in jail. So Fauci cultivated a saintly image during the pandemic. You know that. His committee room clash with Paul received coverage at the time, but with significant public sympathy for him. At a July 2021 hearing, Fauci testified, I do not retract that statement. Oh, you are, wait, I want to back it up here. I think you guys remember the tense exchange between the two of them. I don't want to waste your time because we have some other stories to get to. Will we see justice here? God, we pray that it's not just this David Morans or Fauci, but everybody who set America and the rest of the world up to take this giant fall into the abyss, to ruin the economy, to ruin people's lives, to take people's lives, to ruin businesses. Many businesses shut down and they never reopened again. And I just pray, Lord God, for justice and recompense for all the victims of the medical and financial crimes in Jesus' name.
Amen. 70 inches. Fauci not only is a liar, he used over 100 children to do experiments with and killed them. Gio says the SPLC needs audited. Yeah, it does actually. Let me check over here. Sharon says that my daughter got a religious exemption at her college. A lot of people did, and I'm really glad about that.
Our friend actually had to go to court for not taking the jab. She was getting her degree from UC at the time.
That's right.
And she was part of a huge, big lawsuit. And I think they won. They did win. But
So Dave over on YouTube says some Michigan governor offices are still working under COVID restrictions. The Young Turks tore Erika apart for that video. Kenneth Copeland is the worst. Will Bayer regret buying Monsanto? Every food product with oats probably has glyphosate, and Roundup Ready crops equal GMO crops bred to accept glyphosate without dying. So the entire crop, grains, veggies, have lots of glyphosate in them. Incredible that they think that way.
So I'm going to read to you guys a story. Are you ready for story time?
I don't know.
Confessions of a White House public health priestess. I have eagerly waited this article drop by Katie Talento. She says, in 2017, one of my first tasks at the White House was to keep Bobby Kennedy far away from the West Wing. Not because President Trump didn't want him there. He actually agreed to Bobby's pitch to create a vaccine safety commission. Now where he's at. But others, you can guess who, weren't thrilled, and they told me to get rid of him. So I protected the orthodoxy I've been trained to protect, and it took me years to realize what I had actually done. Tomorrow, I published a full confession. In 2002, the 2002 autism moms I ignored. The 2017 Vaccine Safety Commission I killed. The 2021 moment I finally broke, and my apology to Secretary Kennedy. And she has since apologized, and it's been public, but just happened yesterday.
Wow.
So she says, it was 2017. We hauled the CEOs of a bunch of pharmaceutical companies into the Oval Office so that President Trump could berate them about their drug prices. Always a good time. Somehow the word vaccine came up in the conversation. When that happens in the president's presence, then now last month and probably next week, like clockwork, he always starts telling the same story. A woman who worked for him at the Trump organization back in the day, her 2-year-old son was perfect, beautiful, magnificent, flawless. Then he got a shot and he was just gone, never the same. Beautiful boy, then just gone. The CEOs all shrank back and turned the response to this story over to their colleague, Ken Frazier, then CEO of Merrick, a prominent vaccine manufacturer. I don't remember what he said. I'm sure it was the usual safe and effective incantation. The president had an instinct. I had credentials. What I didn't have was an answer. But it brought me back to 2002. The autism moms, like other groups of moms did every day, were lobbying me to do something to help their children. I was a staffer on the U.S. Senate committee that oversees the CDC. It was my job to recommend, when it came to public health, which bills to write, which bills to move, which bills to kill, and which issues to conduct oversight on, and which agencies to subpoena. Each mom told the same story of a vaccination and the subsequent regression of their children into signs of autism. They wanted the CDC to rigorously study the safety of vaccines and assess the relationship of vaccination to the subsequent diagnosis of autism. I was torn. I was a Harvard-trained infectious disease epidemiologist. I believed religiously that vaccines were the gold standard of public health interventions, not because I had been shown the evidence for their effectiveness and safety in public health school by examining the seminal clinical trials demonstrating as much I hadn't, but because I had been trained in the orthodoxy of public health, where it was assumed that someone had studied this and it had been demonstrated at some point. So now we could all focus on more pressing matters, like how to get vaccines in more kids' arms around the world. I'd spent my early career gallivanting overseas, controlling infectious disease from the guinea worm in South Sudan to HIV and AIDS in Russia, drug users, and inner city DC prostitutes. I was the hero in the story, I told myself. But also I'm a woman, and I deeply revere the intuition and wisdom of mothers, and it was not my nature when a bunch of moms tell me about an observed fact pattern in their children's lives to disbelieve or dismiss them. So I did what any young, naive staffer in her first job on the Hill would do. I called the CDC. They gave me some bland thing about debunked studies and how correlation doesn't equal causation and whatnot. And I was left with a weird disquiet and wasn't sure what to do. I knew my boss, the committee's ranking Republican, would be loath to wade into such a hornet's nest, not to mention that the committee's chairman, ironically, Ted Kennedy, whose party controlled the Senate, would try to thwart us at every turn, and we were already in enough battles with him. Besides Representative Dan Burton and Representative Dade Weldon, medical doctors were already holding hearings on the House side. If something came of those, I could maybe interest my boss then. So I went on the next meeting, and the next ask from the next group of moms and of kids with the next condition. Fast forward 15 years and several other Senate staff jobs. It was 2017, and I was now President Trump's lead health advisor on the Domestic Policy Council, and we were still trying to find the bathrooms in the White House. I was now far more experienced and a savvy staffer and utterly untrusting of federal agencies, especially the CDC. But I still believe with all my heart that vaccines were life-saving, critically needed interventions to protect children, and that they worked best when uptake and the subsequent herd immunity was high. I was told that RFK Jr., an acquaintance of candidate Trump, had gotten him to commit to establishing a vaccine safety commission once he was in office. Mr. Kennedy was now calling and wanted to get the promised commission going. It was my job to make this problem go away, and I was all in. We couldn't have a meeting, an event, or a commission that communicated to the world that vaccines were anything less than the greatest public health victory we all believed them to be. Can I get an amen? So I called up the NIH leaders, Francis Collins and Tony Fauci, and asked them to go ahead and take the meeting, but off-site somewhere, far from the White House and the public view. That meeting, which took place, do you see how incestuous this all is? This is all coming about. Which took place at the NIH campus in Bethesda, Maryland, had become somewhat notorious in Maha lore. Mr. Kennedy, as well as Del Bigtree and Aaron Suri, with the Informed Consent Action Network, ICANN, met with the authorities about the science. All of them have spoken publicly about that meeting where Dr. Fauci assured them of the mountains of study demonstrating vaccine safety. Reportedly, when asked to produce them, he rifled through his papers as if they were just at the tip of his fingertips. When he couldn't find them, he promised, I will deliver the studies later, which never happened. ICANN filed a Freedom of Information lawsuit to get them. HHS settled the lawsuit with a stunning admission on record that no such studies existed. Fauci lied. Oh, wow. And people died. But I didn't know any of that. I only knew that I had a job and I had done my job and saved children. For the next few years, I worked on a variety of policies I was really proud of: ending secret healthcare prices, lowering drug prices, combating the opioid addiction, and others that didn't go quite as well. The doomed repeal and replace Obamacare misadventure. The demands of working in the White House are brutal. While many of my colleagues had become like family, my real family could no longer pick me out of a lineup. By mid-2019, my stress level had peaked. For many reasons, it was time to move on. My younger sister, a 39-year-old mother of two, was dying of colorectal cancer, and I spent the next 5 months taking care of her, thinking of a lot of deep thoughts about the limits and hubris of medicine. When COVID landed on our shores a few months later, there was certainly some FOMO, global respiratory disease popping off, and I just left the White House. I published an op-ed in March of that year expressing my relief that my friend and former colleague, Deborah Birx, had just been appointed to the head of the White House COVID response. In the summer of the fall of 2020, I helped the Trump re-elect campaign by doing media interviews defending the administration's COVID efforts. I put on a happy face for the cameras, but as the year wore on, the unscientific demands from the authorities were causing cognitive dissonance. Masking mania made no sense in light of the size of a viral particle. Masks worn loosely, reused, touched with unsterile hands, and forced onto children were a crime against epidemiology. And yet the authorities like Birx and Fauci, who I knew would know better, were still pretending. Lockdowns were being implemented in ridiculous and scientifically unjustifiable ways. Churches, no. Mom and pop restaurants, no. Gyms, no. Walmart, yes. There seemed to be no effort to explain the totalitarian disconnect that was being imposed from on high. I moved to Loudoun County, Virginia, shortly after my sister passed away in order to be close to her 2 young boys. We wanted to make friends in our new community, and the only people daring to gather were the patriots and the dissidents involved in the Loudoun County parents' resistance, fighting the school closures and other policy malpractice. That put me in touch with the hodgepodge of non-traditional allies that the COVID era united: Catholic homeschoolers and hippie homesteaders, medical freedom activists, and election integrity watchdogs. We love the meetups. This was it. Like, this was going to go down in history. Let's not forget these times, okay? We love the meetups and these unafraid humans. It was just a way to really narrow down the people, the real people in this world. Those are the people that get it about Erika Kirk. One of whom was a mom of a vaccine-injured child who ran our state's medical freedom group. She persuaded me to watch the documentary Vaxxed. That documentary Vaxxed is what got our second YouTube channel next. Just saying. The movie narrated the tale of the CDC's early 2000s vaccine autism research, the kind whose those autism moms had demanded, not knowing that the CDC had already done it, but was hiding the results. It documented the U.S. House hearings by Representatives Weldon and Burton trying to uncover the truth, and later whistleblower William Thompson, who confirmed all the moms' worst fears. It was a searing indictment of my own paralysis during these events decades ago. We got to meet one of the men behind Vaxxed, or the man behind Vaxxed at Andy Wakefield at the Reawaken Tour. Here is the text I sent, and that interview is what nixed our YouTube channel. Here's the text I sent the same friend as the credits rolled on. You can read this.
Just watched the movie we discussed today. I'm sick to my stomach. My counterparts in the House at the same time I was hearing these moms. Paul Webster, who was Walden's staffer, and Dan Burton's appropriations staff, they did something. I just asked the CDC and they told me lies, and I moved on. By 2015, when the whistleblower was made known, I was in a different role in the Senate and never heard about it. I am so embarrassed.
Still, because I was an epidemiologist, people in my circle would come to me for answers about the science, including potential prevention and treatment for COVID. I became the Underground Railroad in our community for hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, nebulized steroids, budesonide, and the countermeasures frowned on by the authorities. Whenever someone in our circle would fall desperately ill, I would help them get medicines from the semi-secret network of doctors, bravely providing those lifelines by telemedicine across the country. Wanting more knowledge and credentials to help people, I enrolled in a degree program to become a naturopath doctor. I watched in disgust and confusion as the new administration doubled down on crazy, with so many in federal and state government seeming to throw basic rules of microbiology and epidemiology out the door. And then something happened in late summer of 2021, a set of legal contortions between Big Pharma and the FDA that started to make everything painfully clear. I was familiar with the public health law called the PrEP Act that passed when I had worked in the Senate. It provided liability protections for manufacturers, doctors, and even employers during a declared public health emergency, provided that certain criteria were met. One of those criteria when it came to drugs and other emergency countermeasures was that the law's legal immunity only applied to products with either FDA licensure or emergency use authorization. The government had a number of problems brought on by the aspect of the PrEP Act and the law establishing the EUA process. Number one, to get an EUA for a product, there had to be no other approved, adequate, and available therapies. And there seemed to be quite a few. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine for starters. Since it was going to take a while to get FDA licensure for the products that was going in all our arms under the EUA had to be protected. That would only be possible if cheap, generic, widely used, safe, and FDA-licensed hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin or anything else were intentionally not recognized as effective therapeutics. FDA, you're not a horse, you're not a cow, seriously, I'll stop it. Except for humans, take ivermectin. These therapies had to be suppressed and delegitimized by the authorities as ineffective or dangerous as treatments for COVID, or else the coming vaccines, new experimental products with limited safety trials conducted at warp speed, would be subject to crippling lawsuits if they injured anyone. Given that they would likely be distributed to the entire population in mass, it was a statistical certainty that someone would be injured. This represented a massive problem for the manufacturers, and that meant it was a massive problem for the authorities because Pfizer was threatening not to sell their product in any country that didn't immunize them. The EUA problem would go away once the vaccine was licensed by the FDA, but the required clinical trials weren't done yet. Also, they weren't coming out so great. Of the 29 deaths in the clinical trial leading to the license, 15 were in the vaccinated group, one more than the unvaccinated group. Problem two, the only FDA licensed products can be mandated or added to the childhood schedule, not EUA products. And the Biden administration was plotting nationwide mandates because, of course, they were. Problem 3, the FDA license for Pfizer vaccines would not apply to the whole population because the clinical trials that would form the basis of the approval didn't include important subgroups like pregnant women and children under 16. So the EUA would still be needed to immunize Pfizer against lawsuits arising from injuries to those groups until the FDA approved the product to be added to the children's schedule, which required more data from kids, which nobody could sue Pfizer ever again over the vaccine. What happened in August of 2021 was a diabolical solution to both problems 2 and 3. The FDA approved the Pfizer Comirnaty vaccine, a legal artifact because this product wasn't actually being used in the U.S. Simultaneously, the FDA extended the EUA on Pfizer partner BioNTech's vaccine, which was the vaccine label being used widely. So in doing so, both problems were solved. The EUA on the product being used, including for kids 12 to 15, remained protected by the PrEP Act liability shield, and the identical product label not being used anywhere in the U.S. by anyone received the FDA approval, so it could be mandated by the feds for all employees nationwide. No news outlet reported what happened. They all announced the vaccine everyone was getting in their arms had received FDA approval. That wasn't true. Nationwide mandates were announced 2 weeks later. That was it. It was clear that there were dark, powerful forces at work behind the public health enterprise that I no longer wanted to be part of. I had started listening to RFK Jr.'s podcast, having thwarted his efforts years prior in the White House. I was now ironically mesmerized by how rational all of a sudden he seemed. When Mr. Kennedy's book, The Real Anthony Fauci, was released in the fall of 2021, I devoured it. Kennedy's meticulously sourced description of how the authorities had been planning for a global coronavirus pandemic just a few months before it actually happened was chilling. But even closer to home was the detailed accounting of Fauci's funding of the ghoulish, invasive, and debilitating HIV/AIDS experiments on often very ill foster children across the country. I had invested a good portion of my career in combating AIDS and HIV, both home and abroad, and the book exposed how that career had been aligned with the monsters that tortured helpless innocents to bring the first of Big Pharma's AIDS drugs to the market. I had made my bones in the Senate demanding the federal government prioritize the delivery of medicines, and not just condoms, to AIDS victims all over the world. I cried tears of joy and vindication when the agenda was realized in President Bush's 2003 State of the Union address, where he unveiled his commitment to funding billions of dollars in antiretroviral treatments. Now I was seeing evidence that these treatments were developed on the broken bodies of forgotten children who were powerless to fight the unholy alliance of Big Pharma and Big Science. If untrue, the claims in Kennedy's book were so utterly defamatory that they should have spurred a parade of lawsuits. To my knowledge, no such lawsuits have ever been filed. This cascade of eye-opening episodes eventually forced me to confront a painful reality. This was her confession. My 2017 take on Mr. Kennedy and his Vaccine Safety Commission had been a massive mistake. What if, and this is what she feels the weight of, this is what is really weighing on her, and people actually are attacking her. What if there had been a Vaccine Safety Commission already in place during Operation Warp Speed? During the consideration of federal mandates by the Biden term, adding COVID vaccines to the childhood schedule, what if Mr. Kennedy had been given regular access to President Trump in his first term? And I'm not naive enough to think that a commission, any commission, would have had some immediate or obvious influence on vaccine policy. I know better than most how slowly government works, and no doubt Team Biden would have either immediately shut down the commission or replaced the commissioners with card-carrying members of the consensus class. Still, I listened to Mr. Kennedy speak about his experience with the first Trump administration. I understood that at the very least, the vaccine safety conversation that is going mainstream today could have gotten a major head start. So in January 2022, I wrote Mr. Kennedy a contrite email confessing my sins, probably hoping for some sort of absolution. He was gracious, and he looped in his colleague, Lynn Renwood, from the Children's Health Defense. When we spoke shortly thereafter, she slyly asked me what I planned to do to atone for my sins, how I would contribute to the movement. I had no answers at the time. I was still totally disoriented. The nationwide COVID vaccine mandate that had been announced in the fall took effect in January, though thankfully was stymied in part by a number of lawsuits. Regardless, I would not comply. I never wore a mask again. No one in my family would get another vaccine, and I would never blindly trust a white coat or many of the products they peddle ever again. They're not malicious, most of them anyway, but their education was just as flawed as mine. Once I was radicalized, I started questioning many of the public health shibboleths. I discovered the Weston A. Price Foundation and the Wise Traditions Dietary Principles, which we tout all the time. prioritizing all the naughty things like saturated fat and raw milk. I embraced the long-suppressed medical frameworks of the homeopathy and the German new medicine. I started helping women birth at home outside the medical system. It was all quite heretical. Most importantly, I realized that no one from Washington and no white coat is coming to save my health or anyone else's. I became my own primary care provider, and you can too. I still work on making healthcare less predatory and corrupt. I help employers fire insurance companies and rehumanize the health plans for their workforce. I provide all kinds of friendly advice to Congress and the current Trump team, even especially when they don't ask. And now that I'm a staffer for nobody and answer to no one, I'm uncensored and unafraid, writing in my own voice about all of this right here. So thank you to the autism moms who got under my skin decades ago, even though I didn't quite know what to do about them. Thank you to Reps Burton and Weldon and their staff who conduct investigations of the CDC autism data. Thank you to Andy Wakefield, the much maligned debunked study author, and William Thompson, the CDC whistleblower. Thank you to that friend who urged me to watch Vaxxed, and to Del Bigtree, who made the film. And thank you most of all, Secretary Kennedy. When he ran for president, I was nervous. If the Democrats nominated him, I was anxious that President Trump could lose to him. So it was a great release when the Democrats blew their chance at victory by running him out of their primary. And when those pyrotechnic fireworks popped off at the Turning Point USA stage, framing Kennedy and Trump and the birth of Maha, I knew that a generational opportunity was upon us. And yet, even now, I can't quite shake the image that started all of this. A line of mothers sitting across from me in the Senate office in 2002 asking for something simple. Please look, please study, please don't dismiss what we are seeing in our children. I trusted the authorities instead. I told myself there would be time later that someone else was handling it, that the science must already be settled. It's a strange thing to realize that my biggest failures weren't the fights I lost, but the ones I didn't start. And that in some of the stories I've been telling myself about my career, I was the villain and not the hero. And so this is where I am now. I don't outsource my judgment anymore. I don't confuse authority with truth, and I don't ignore mothers, even when the consensus has lost all curiosity. If that makes me a heretic, consider this my excommunication from a public health cult. Wow, that is just so amazing. And I feel like that is a come to Jesus moment for so many people. And that's what woke us up, and that's what united us. And that's what made 2024 was going to be this big, giant explosion of awesomeness. I took a little run today and I played the score. We are the warriors who learn to love the pain. That song, you know. I love that song, and I may drop YouTube just to play at the end of the show. We went through so much together, guys. We fought so much. We were kicked out of stores. We were told we were, killing grandma. This was something that even CNN now and everybody else was like, yeah, that was kind of bad. But they tortured people to death. And this is what we have been praying for. And so I want to thank God for people waking up. And as we prayed before for justice, God, I just pray that everybody wakes up, that there is a revival of people getting back to the land. And that's what we've always prayed for. And that people get back to natural living, back to real food, back to growing their own food and being their own doctor and getting the government out of our lives. Amen. And I just thank you, Father God, that you are going to empower those of us who want to do things the natural and the wholesome way to be able to afford to raise children and have families in a safe and healthy environment. And I pray that you bring Monsanto down and Bayer down and expose their connections to Auschwitz. You want to talk about Nazis? Bayer was literally founded by the men who created IG Farben, the company that created the gas for the gas chambers. So Bayer is literal Nazis. And so I ask you, Father God, that we would stop calling each other Nazis, but we would actually focus on these companies, these real Nazi companies who are hiding their chemical, what's the word I'm looking for? Dominance, or I want to call it, what do they call it when you're trying to kill a bunch of people in a whole country? Genocide. Yeah, a chemical genocide of our genes, of our minds, of our health. I just pray, Father God, our children, I pray that you hold them accountable right now in Jesus' name. I ask you that you release, especially Gen Z and these young kids who they're even unhealthier than our generation was because they're all the chemicals and the nastiness. And I ask you, Father God, that you bring a stop to it now and hold these people accountable. I ask you to hold these people accountable, and that all these companies would come falling down, and that and everybody who turned a blind eye would be held accountable, and everybody who can wake up will wake up, and the rest, Father God, will seek justice. And I actually ask for justice for everybody, heavenly justice, because heavenly justice, when there is repentance, like this woman is, I'm happy to not see her see jail time if she's out there doing the right thing and helping people. And if it, when if people are repentant and truly making a change, then there's such a grace there. But for those who are continuing on in their malfeasance, we ask you, Father God, that you hold them to the full extent of heavenly and earthly law, in Jesus' name.
Amen. Earlier, Sherry Kula says, both GMO and spraying are both deadly. Spraying kills us quicker. The GMO slowly breaks down our systems and we slowly die with huge medical bills and no inheritance to leave to our children. I pray that God intervenes in a very dramatic and extreme way soon. She says, Leah, everyone who was telling the truth during that time was punished. The truth tellers had to be shut down so the lie could keep going. Thank God that you both stayed true to your calling. Thank you for that, Sherry.
Thank you, because it wasn't easy, and I know it wasn't easy for any of you. So I'm proud of all of you, I'll do that another time, who stood up for the truth. Now, this is the last on Fauci. This is our girl here with, I feel like she looks so much better without a lot of makeup. I'm just throwing it out there. Like, you don't need to put, like, it's all dark.
So hang on. So, okay, but she has really bad acne spots.
No, makeup is fine, but the eyeshadow is like a bunch of black. What are you doing?
Right.
Tulsi, you look great. Don't
We
put
are
all that stuff
working
on your
with
eyes.
Jay Bhattacharya, the new NIH director, as well as Secretary Kennedy, is looking at the gain of function research that, in the case of the Wuhan lab, as well as many of these other biolabs around the world, was actually U.S. funded and leads to this dangerous kind of research that, in many examples, has resulted in either a pandemic or some other major health crisis.
Well, let me ask you specifically, because we already know that EcoHealth Alliance was partnering with this Wuhan lab to do gain of function research.
That's right.
We just have never been able to have somebody say, it was that exact experiment that led to this COVID bug. But have we gotten there? What's the new thing that you're digging in on?
We are working on that with Jay Bhattacharya and look forward to being able to share that, hopefully very soon.
Okay.
That specific link, correct, between the gain of function research and what we saw with COVID-19.
I mean, that would be extraordinary, because just so the audience knows, if that's true, if it was Peter Daszak's research with the Wuhan so-called bat lady that caused this pandemic, then we did fund it. Then Anthony Fauci helped fund the pandemic.
The thing that he denied over and over and over to Senator Rand Paul's questioning.
That's right, under oath.
Under oath, exactly. So is it any wonder that he sought a preemptive pardon for anything during a certain period of time by President Biden before he left office?
And then strong-armed and smeared people like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, anybody who came out and said, I don't know if that's natural. This actually smacks of lab.
And the reason why this is so important is not just what happened in the past, it's because this gain of function research is happening in biolabs around the world. I got attacked, and I think you saw this, we've probably talked about it on your show before, when I warned against U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine when the Russia-Ukraine war kicked off for this very reason. Who knows what kinds of pathogens are in these labs, and if released could create another COVID-like pandemic. And for that, I was called a Russian asset. You're, trumpeting Putin's talking points, all of this nonsense, simply for speaking the truth and stating facts that, by the way, are still on U.S. Embassy Ukraine's website today about how the U.S. has funded these biolabs in Ukraine. But my point is, in order to prevent another COVID-like pandemic or another major health incident that could affect us in the world, we have to end this gain of function.
Praise the Lord.
So I just want to, can you make us big real quick? I just want to make a little observation. First of all, again, all of this stuff is so awesome. Like, I'm really excited about this. I just want to make an observation of what I think. This is my conspiracy theory. Trump's numbers have been literally plummeting. He is losing us in droves. Like, and I mean, like, boom, 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 probably hundreds of thousands of people every day just like leaving supporting Trump. Okay. I think that behind the scenes, conversations are happening where people are saying, unleash people like Todd Blanche, Tulsi Gabbard, Kennedy, to do their passions, to do the things that they were put in place to do, and you will regain support. Okay. And I think that argument has been made. And I think that Susie Wiles has probably had to just sit down and shut up for a minute because, you know, and I know this is probably a little bit naive on my part, and I don't mind admitting that, but just from every movie that I have ever seen about when the president's numbers every single day get talked about according to movies. You know what I mean? Like throughout the day, the numbers like are fluctuating throughout the day. What are the numbers today? You know what I mean? Like the daggum stock market. So they know. They are very, very well aware that President Trump's numbers are just tanking. The Israel conflict and Iran just literally sucked. People are just, they're just gone, right? So I think, and I'm actually glad about this. I think that there have probably been almost to the point of fisticuffs arguments about what we have to do to get his numbers back. And I can guarantee you that somebody on the inside made some very valid arguments that said, unleash these people to do the things that their supporters asked Trump to put them in here to do. And I can promise you your numbers will go up. And it's happening. So that's just an observation. That's not like a good or bad thing.
I got a clip on those numbers.
Oh, okay.
The number one issue. It's the number one financial issue. It's the number one issue folks saying it's facing their families right now. And Donald John Trump is in the worst position he has ever been on inflation. And more than that, these are the worst numbers I've ever seen for any president. I mean, just look at this. Look at this. According to Ipsos, look at this net approval rating on inflation. We got the latest poll out. He's 49 points underwater. That means that 49% more of the public disapprove than approve of the job he's doing. I went back. You remember Joe Biden? Inflation absolutely crushed his presidency. But at his worst, according to Ipsos, he was just 43 points underwater. So Trump is lower now on inflation than Joe Biden ever was, according to Ipsos. And I will note that the inflation rate right now is only about a third as it was back in June of 2022. Yet Trump's numbers are significantly worse than Biden's ever were.
Even though inflation was like at 9% this month, they still think Trump is doing a worse job on it than Biden ever was.
I think they're fudging the numbers.
That is staggering. Okay, so when you think of presidents and inflation, the one that comes to mind is Jimmy Carter. That was when inflation was really stratospheric. So how does Trump compare to Carter on those numbers?
Yeah, these are really stunning numbers right here. But what about James Earl Carter, right? You think of inflation, as Johnny B was talking about. You think about inflation-seeking presidencies. You think of Jimmy Carter. But just look here. Okay, if we look right now we're talking about net approvals on inflation, this number should actually be 46%, minus 46. And if you look at this, though, even if I raise it a little bit and I correct my error right here live on air, we're talking about minus 46 points versus minus 49 points. Donald Trump is in worse position on inflation than Jimmy Carter was when, of course, Carter then got blown out by Ronald Reagan back in 1980.
So where do Americans think this is headed in terms of the cost of living?
Yeah, okay, so you see these bad numbers, and take a look here. Look at this. On cost of living, country is on the wrong track or right track. Look at this. Among independents, 75%. 75% say the wrong track, just 9% say the right track. Look among Republicans. The plurality of Republicans say that the country is on the wrong track when it comes to the cost of living versus just 39%, 45 versus 39. Donald Trump has lost every single part of this electorate. And when you take his name out of the equation, you see even the plurality of Republicans say that the country is on the wrong track when it comes to
I don't know which one of these is more surprising. They both are stunning. One is that Republicans think the country's on the wrong track economically.
Unbelievable.
And that independent 75-9 is just a mind-blowing number.
It's mind-blowing. You just never see numbers like that.
All right, so what do the prediction markets say on an issue that you and I care deeply about?
Yeah.
Beef prices.
Beef prices. We're heading into summer. Just take a look here. Chance that April 2026 versus 2025, the beef prices are 15% higher. According to the Calcio prediction market, 75% people are feeling the pain across different issues, including beef prices, as well as at the gas tank.
All right, Harold Linton, thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend.
Wow.
Yeah, it is.
So those are different approvals, but that they were just specifically talking about approval ratings for Trump on the economy. But I think that sometimes when you're already disapproving of him in one area, it's going to tip the scales.
Yeah. People are. This is not a good time for Trump.
Leslie?
I honestly don't agree with Matthew. I don't think that we sadly are holding all the cards, and that doesn't make me anti-American. It certainly doesn't make me in favor of Iran, the Iranian regime, which is really the same regime as we had before. If you open any portion of a blockade, you no longer have a blockade. If you listened to Senator Lindsey Graham earlier this morning, I thought it sounded ridiculous. But in addition to that, what we have is not just the American people, who I think polls show across the board like now a -15 if you take all of the averages of these polls in support for this, but you have cracks
For the
in
Iran
the
war.
Republican support for this, and that is going to be even more evident when they get back after this session, after this week, when you need congressional approval. I don't care what Pete Hegseth says. The War Powers Resolution Act is very, very clear, and this ceasefire does not extend that. So I think what has to be done here is it has to go back to what a lot of people have been saying, our allies have been saying, which is you got to sit down and you got to have more diplomacy. The American people aren't buying this. Our allies aren't buying this. We are alone. The American people don't have affordability, not just at the gas pump, but at the grocery store. This is not sustainable, and not just for Iran and the Iranian people.
Yeah. Ari,
Yeah.
There's nothing to say to that. That was
Yeah.
pretty accurate.
So,
yeah.
when it comes to the Iran war, when I think we're kind of switching a little bit into Trump's approval ratings and how people see him. This actually is a very telling clip here where Trump is asked by NBC if he considers to see any relief for small businesses who are affected by the tariffs. And the utter disregard to what the American people are going through. My breath was taken away when I saw gas at $4.29. I was going to tell Matt what I felt like was a funny story, and we were driving, and I literally had to take a huge deep breath because gas was $4.99. And I know you guys, I don't know, you probably aren't watching right now, the rest of you, because you don't like bad news because you're probably Q people, no offense, but it's hard to hear bad news. And some of you were like saying gas isn't even as expensive as under Biden. And I'm like, it's $4.99. That's not a discount price. Okay, let's play this clip.
Are you considering tariff relief for small businesses?
Why do you always mention that, you pick up a couple of little businesses? What about the car business? They're going to make a fortune.
You pick up a couple little businesses. We don't care about them. Think about big business.
Because of the tariffs. Do you know that the union, the head of the union, who was no fan of mine, Sean Fain, I guess his name is, right? He didn't endorse me. The Teamsters did. A lot of people did. A lot of unions did. But he didn't. He couldn't stand me. Now he's saying, wow, what's Trump's done for the automobile? I can't believe it. I assume he's going to probably now say the next thing he can say is, I endorse this guy. He's the greatest I've ever seen. He can't believe it's happened. He said, we've been waiting 40 years for somebody to do what Trump is doing. So why don't you mention the big car industry instead of mentioning somebody that's doing strollers?
Well, I'm just asking you about small businesses. Are there any discussions about giving any relief to small businesses?
They're not going to need it.
Okay.
They're going to make so much money.
Are you considering tariff relief for small businesses?
Why do you always...
I feel like this is very discouraging to me because instead of saying, yeah, we care about the small American worker, we're looking at all these aspects of this how my tariffs could be affecting people. This answer from Pete Hegseth really bothers me too about the economic impact of Iran.
Do you know how much it will cost Americans in terms of their increased cost in gas and food over the next year because of the Iran war?
I would simply ask you what the cost is of an Iranian nuclear bomb.
I'm going to give you that opportunity.
I would simply ask you what you're playing gotcha questions about domestic things. I'm not.
You're saying it's a gotcha question to ask what it's going to be in terms of the increased
Why
cost
won't
of
you
gas
answer what
and
it costs to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb?
I give you that, sir. But let me.
What would it cost? What would you pay to ensure Iran doesn't get a nuclear bomb? What would you pay?
I reclaim my time. Do you not know? You had no one do the analysis of what the increased cost of gas and food on the American people are going to be?
What is the cost of Iran holding that straight at issue with nuclear weapons?
It's $631 billion, which means it's an increase of $5,000 a year for American households. Now, let me give you this point. You're saying that your operation is preventing a nuclear Iran. Will you acknowledge that there is an economic cost to the American people for doing what you believe is necessary to make Iran denuclear? Will you acknowledge the economic cost?
We have an incredible economic team that's managing this better than what the previous.
I don't like that. We have an economic team that's managing this. What in the wide world are you coming and putting money in my pocketbook? Who has a pocketbook anymore? $5,000 more for each family in the United States.
Previous administration did for our economy, what the previous administration did for inflation. You know what's upsetting? Administration did with COVID, and you're going to lecture this administration about the economy? You know what is upsetting? Incredible. You didn't even do the analysis on how much it's costing the American people. It's one thing if you said, okay, it costs the American people $5,000, but we think it's worth it. That's what we've done in World War II and other wars. Here's what it costs. You got to pay for it. You don't even know what the average American is paying. You don't know what we paid in terms of the missiles that hit the Iranian school. You don't know what we're paying in terms of gas. You don't know what we're paying in terms of food. Your 25 billion number is totally off.
I can't stand it. I can't stand that when a Democrat has to come up and say something like this. And then Hegseth admits Iran was not even close to a nuclear weapon.
Who's hell-bent on getting a nuclear weapon and get them to a point where they're at the table giving it up in a way that
so they
never have it.
So they haven't broken yet. Okay, we haven't gotten there yet for all of the.
Well, their nuclear facilities have been obliterated. Underground, they're buried, and we're watching them 24/7. So we know where any nuclear material
reclaiming
might be.
My time for
we're
just
watching
a quick second here. We had to start this war, you just said, 60 days ago, because the nuclear weapon was an imminent threat. Now you're saying that it was completely obliterated?
They had not given up their nuclear ambitions, and they had a conventional shield of thousands of missiles.
So Operation Midnight Hammer accomplished nothing of substance. It left us at exactly the same place we were before. So much so that
their facilities
we had to
were
start
bombed
a war.
and obliterated. Their ambitions continued, and they're building a conventional shield.
All right, let me try again.
It's the North Korea strategy. You know this very well. The North Korea strategy was use conventional missiles to prevent anybody from challenging them, so they could slow walk their way to a weapon. President Trump saw Iran at its weakest moment, took an action to ensure, in a way that only the United States of America could do with our Israeli partners,
and yet
to ensure their
haven't given up
conventional
their
shield was
right.
brought
one
to
other
heel, which
question,
we've done.
if I could get to it. So on you.
Okay, so he says they still had nuclear ambitions. So it's costing us at least $5,000 more a year. Who can afford that? Raise your hand. And I said this in my video, and guys, I have a bridge to sell you if you think that we went to war with Iran because Iran was a nuclear threat. Iran was not a nuclear threat. Iran is a country with millions of people. Some of them are hardliner, but the average Iranian is a normal actually person who loves their family and is living life. They're not a hardline. Not all of them are hardline radical Islamists. Let me just say that. And so they have thinking brains. As far like in all of the Middle East, Iranians have thinking brains. They know that if they were to launch a nuclear missile, they make it out to say that Iran was getting ready to launch a nuclear missile to New York City or LA. That's not true. That's nowhere near the truth. And they know they're obfuscating. They're making you feel like they were getting ready to nuke us when, number one, they had a fatwa against creating a nuke. The same exact regime is still in place. This was a blood feud war. This was blood atonement. We were watching the show on Mormons. The Israelis wanted head for head, life for life. They were still upset about October 7th. This was a blood war. We killed randomly 80 to 88 of their high level, their religious officials. Now they're the IRGC, their Iranian military, which is more hardline than the religious guys, is now in charge. And I am telling you that we did this $100 billion later of your money and my money and fake money, actually. But our hard-earned tax dollars that they keep sucking out of us every day. And don't even me start on the IRS. I had to resend them my payment because somehow I didn't put in my bank stuff correctly. And I got this letter from the IRS and I was like, oh my gosh. And
Leah, they don't care.
I'm telling you, but this is where the money comes from.
Okay.
The money comes from getting us afraid.
Yeah.
I get a letter and I'm afraid. I paid them. I must have put a wrong number in the bank account. Okay. I paid them.
And they should have emailed you that the payment didn't go through.
But there's fear in opening that stupid letter.
Yeah, you know why though? It's demonic.
It is. And there's fear. And they use that fear to fund this crazy war that's going to cost you and I and you more of our own hard-earned dollars.
Yeah.
It's as if they had went into your bank account and said, by the way, give us another $5,000 to $10,000 now. And you don't get to vote. This is taxation without representation. You and I did not get to vote. And now Trump is saying, sent a letter to Congress, 60 days, he gets a chance to run his little war, and then Congress has to vote on it. And Trump says, psych, we're done with aggression. So we don't even need you guys to vote on this. We're done with aggression. But they're still negotiating the outcome of this war. We still have ships over there blockading the Strait of Hormuz, okay? If you didn't know. That's why gas prices are on sale now at $4.99 down at your local UDF.
They don't know what UDF is.
It doesn't matter. Okay. I'm fit to be tied.
Now, you had this video up.
That I didn't.
Oh, you did.
But that wasn't what I was. No, I didn't.
Okay.
You can go to the main. Did I didn't go back to the main to do that?
No, we weren't sharing that the whole time.
Okay.
It's fine.
No, that wasn't where I was going to go next. I'm actually.
Are we doing Erika yet?
We will. So, this right here. You know what this number is? Donald Trump's net worth has tripled to 6.5 billion since he won the 2024 election.
Oh my gosh, wait a minute. He only won it like a year and a half ago.
So his net worth went down.
Yeah.
After he got elected.
Yeah.
But in 2016.
Okay.
But since he's been elected, his net worth has tripled to 6.5 billion. So when I tell you that gas is crazy high and inflation is high and guess what? With 6.5 billion, you don't care about property taxes. You don't care about grocery prices. None of that matters to you. Nothing matters to you. Okay? You know what Donald Trump wants? And I want to do a whole show on this. He wants to take $1 billion from the National Park Service, just not pay that, not so that when you go, you can't go to Yosemite and flush a toilet. Yogi Bear is not going to give you a picnic basket. Okay. And then he wants $10 billion for the DC beautification project. And I Googled that and I asked the AI, I said, please tell me that $10 billion is for more than just Washington, D.C., and that his beautification project extends to the rest of the country, at least another city. No, Trump has a $10 billion beautification project, not for you, not for me, not for Des Moines, Iowa, or Savannah, Georgia, or Tecumseh, Alabama, or whatever. Little tiny towns, big towns, Detroit, Michigan, Cincinnati, Ohio. No. 10B with a billion with a B for Washington, D.C. He wants an arch with his name on it. Trump arch. He wants his ballroom, which I'm going to do a separate video on this. Lindsey Graham said he wants to have you and I fund the ballroom. And he's got a great idea. They're going to take $1 billion from the national parks, the one place where Americans can put a picnic basket together and go sit outside in the blue sky and outside of the city. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Okay, that's like your national park song. No. We're going to cut that budget by 20 to 25%. Oh, Leah, it's like Doge. They get too much money anyways. Oh, really? Trump wants $10 billion for one city.
It's not even like it's just a
Washington,
city, though.
D.C. $10 billion for Washington, D.C. And he wants to cut all of the national parks, which 330 million Americans can go to. Now, I'm not for the government owning land, and I'm not for the government having the National Park Service, but Lindsey Graham wants to fund the ballroom that you and I will never go to by us paying more fees to go to Glacier National Park or Yellowstone, to a place where we would like to go, to places where every American should go once in their lifetime.
Well, it's not just, so for those of you that don't know, the National Park Service doesn't just cover things like Glacier and Yosemite. The National Park Service covers historical places like Monticello. It covers historical places like
John Adams'
home. And so they have park rangers that run those tours.
Yeah.
Which I think actually is a very worthy cause. So we've always historically been against the national parks just because the government it's constitutionally not allowed to own land. That being said, the idea that everybody jumped down our throats after Leah did a little late night show the other night, what was it, Wednesday night? And
about the ballroom.
And Leah was talking about the ballroom, and everybody's like, don't you know, Leah, this is funded with the private donations. But then Lindsey Graham literally comes out and says, don't you think I think we need to take the money from the national parks and fund the ballroom. We ought to fund and you know what? He'll probably get it.
You know what else?
And what is this $10 billion for the DC beautification project? Like, guys, how much was it for the wall?
So $4 billion for the wall. This is what makes me so mad.
And we don't even have any updates on the wall.
What happened to the wall? You want to spend $10 billion on fountains in Washington, D.C. And Congress told us that we don't have, literally Nancy Pelosi, we don't have the money. We're just so broke. We can't afford $4 billion for your wall, Trump. They literally stonewalled us. Build that wall. Build that wall. And Trump's like, hey, yo, I need $10 billion to make this place and where I live beautiful. Okay? Because it's not beautiful. That wall over there that y'all voted me in to build that wall, we don't really need it anymore. I'm done with that. I don't want to do that anymore. It has nothing to do with me anymore. That's you little people. You just want to stop illegals and stuff. Like, I'm not about it anymore. I just want my arch with Trump arch on it. You know, you're not supposed to throw yourself your own surprise party.
Well, so let me tell you what Trump is really good at. And this is why I think that, and we have to get through these stories. So I'll make this very brief. Trump's going to Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So Trump is really good at building big buildings. Trump is really good about making things have pizzazz. Trump goes to other nations where they actually, because they are more historical, they're more ancient, they go back. So they have beauty. They have, and so he's embarrassed that Washington, D.C. doesn't have the giantness that you see when you go. I mean, even little tiny Great Britain, and I love all you guys over there, okay? Like, you're not that big. You're like the size of my state. And yet it's gorgeous, right? You have a lot of landmarks, that really stand out, okay? We don't have Notre Dame.
Yeah.
We don't have those kinds of things here.
Yeah.
And especially when Trump is thinking, this is Trump's mindset. If we make the capital of America, the nation's capital, big and beautiful, then we're going to be more respected on the world stage. And somehow he thinks that that's going to equal money, power, economy. And to an extent, there is a method to his madness. I'm not actually not going to discount that. If he could be president for another 15 years, perhaps we might see something come of all of this. But we don't have 15 years. And Trump doesn't have 15 years. And we need answers for the problems that are affecting us right now. So if you could, like Bukele, manage to do a little bit that's going to be long-term, but a lot bit that's going to be short-term, we would love you for that. But here Trump's going, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do all this long-term business and I'm going to do it with corrupt companies.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it, but we really do need to bust through a lot of these.
Okay, so this
stories.
week, the only story that kept showing up in my feed over and over and over again was this this video of Erika Kirk, and I'll just play a piece of it. With like, she is a Bond villain. She's got the black hat on. She's got this black shirt on, and she looks in the camera in a way that I can't do. And she squints in a way.
You only have 25 seconds?
I that's the one I have right now.
Okay. You don't have the doctored one though, right?
Here's 4 minutes. You want 4 minutes of it?
Wait, is it right next to it?
It's actually just a few minutes of it. It's Jason Whitlock. I don't know how much he's playing of it.
Okay. Which one do you want me to play?
Play the one I have. Let's play that one. It's fine.
Okay.
To which I replied, "It is so nice to put a name to the face."
Hey everyone, I'm sorry I'm not able to physically.
Okay, that's showing the contrast, and you can't even hear it.
Okay.
That's showing the contrast between that's like this, like the angry Erika, and then the sweet Erika. Like 2 seconds later, I do not have Michelle. I have people's commentary about it. I don't have. You want the clip?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Okay.
Like, does anybody have it here?
No, I do not. I don't have it.
But and then everybody's done a lot of memes to it, but like,
Yeah. So there's a minute clip that we can watch here. There's 8 minutes. This is hers. Play a little bit of it.
Seems to me that nothing will ever be enough for the evil in this world. Our country has become unrecognizable. These people have perverted the truth to the point that they motivated the murder of my husband. They have continuously tried to assassinate the president, and anyone who stands in their way is labeled hateful, racist, fascist, and every other trigger word that is grossly dishonest. We want the best for our country. They don't. This is why Charlie started Turning Point USA in the first place. He didn't trust the radicalized liberal teachers. And this past Saturday, it was a school teacher, of all people, a school teacher, that attempted to change our history for the worst with bullets. And everyone is asking why I even went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And it was because many of the journalists in that room have attempted to dehumanize me. And I wanted to meet some of them face to face, quite frankly. Why have a conversation about me when you can have a conversation with me? So, for example, a journalist from the Daily Mail came up to me.
So this is stupid because nobody was against her there. No, nobody was against her there. And nobody is really writing against her at this White House Correspondents' Dinner.
She introduced herself, and she was very gracious. She was saying, "You look so beautiful. I'm so sorry for your loss." To which I replied, "It is so nice to put a name to the face."
You know, when you look at that, when she says that, she's like, this person was gracious, and they said you look so beautiful, and she said, "It's so nice to put a name to the face." That's like fighting.
Especially with all of the slander, the lies, accusations that are out there surrounding my husband's murder and myself. And I said to her, "You know what's so interesting? This is my first time at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I find it so fascinating, the dynamic that is going on right now, because everyone is all dressed up, and you guys are co-mingling in and out of each other's cocktail parties. And so for one night, you are able to put aside all of your differences for the sake of freedom of speech. And then by Monday morning, things will go back to being an absolute bloodbath between all of you." To which she replied, literally, she said, "I know. Isn't it special, right? Isn't tonight so special?" And following that conversation, it was time to take our seats, and we went into the big ballroom where the dinner was. And one of the first things I noticed when I walked into that room was quite literally the proximity of the opposing outlets to one another. So you have one table here that's Politico, and another table here that's Fox, and another table here that's WAPO, and you're all crammed together, elbow to elbow. And to make the night even more of a spectacle, every single 10-person table had 10 bottles of wine. And the president of the White House Correspondents Association, she did a great job of trying to make the evening have that feeling of Americana. You know, we were in a room celebrating freedom of speech despite our differences. And the U.S. getting a video in a room with an active shooter, it's by contextualizing himself. And if you can just, and I have Candace Owens claiming I said that she had the glow of an expected widow.
What is that? That's so creepy.
The glow. Cases, a sick disappointment that the shooter was unsuccessful. We are all human beings.
Are you though?
And if you can just pause and just take a minute and ask yourself, how would you feel if even just one person made cruel jokes about the attempted murder of your loved one? That is what Jimmy Kimmel did to the First Lady. He said that she had the glow of an expected widow. The glow of an expected widow. Just 48 hours before that nightmare almost became a reality. And this culture we're living in absorbs disagreement as a form of personal betrayal. It turns having an opposing viewpoint into a moral crime worthy of punishment. And here's what I've realized through all of this, truly, having lived through quite literal hell these past 7 months, if you strip someone of their humanity long enough, you will arrive at the chilling conclusion that they don't deserve to exist at all. Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO, and I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on. There is a serious epidemic of dehumanization plaguing this country. The most unthinkable tragedies have now become commonplace in our daily headlines, and yet the media finds
this young lady, she needs, if this is how she feels, she has to understand that she is the CEO of a multi-million-dollar nonprofit company that literally pokes the bear. TPUSA is not a mom's group that hosts picnics. Charlie took hits. He took them all the time. And you know what he didn't do? That. And I don't know that she has real feelings because I've never seen her really cry. I think she enjoys the spotlight, and she was she expected to be received in the MAGA world and in the world at large for the beauty queen, in the beauty queen world that she is. And let me explain something to you. Being disingenuous and fake in her world is what gets you somewhere. You do not win Miss Arizona by being real. You get to be Miss Arizona because you faked your way there. You have a fake chest. You have fake eyelashes. You have fake hair. You have a fake body. Everything about you and the way you speak in beauty pageants is fake. And people, the American people, the MAGA movement, we don't have time for fake. We don't have time to appreciate how well you put your eyelashes on today.
Yeah, but even more than that, like, we actually do, okay with a lot of people that present fake, but she is using, just like, you missed what I read from Horatio today. He had never heard her speak ever before until this 60-second clip.
I heard you read it. But
and he was like, she just seems like she's had acting lessons and they didn't take very well.
My point is that we, as a MAGA, we don't care what people look like. Yeah. We care how well they deliver message.
Real you come across.
Okay.
No.
Alex Jones. Okay. We love Alex Jones. Nobody watches Alex Jones because he looks like he's going to win a beauty contest.
No.
Okay. the people in MAGA are listening. I want to hear. You know what? I listen to Charlie Kirk. I don't look at his face.
So you know what the most viscerally felt emotion is?
Authenticity.
And that's why we don't like her.
Yeah.
Because she's not authentic. And I do want to play this because it's hilarious. And I did pull it up. And like I said, don't go and follow the rest of her. But this is exactly what she looks like. This girl's hit it spot on.
Wake up to a new lie about me. White-faced by a comedian. I am never with my children. That I was Charlie's handler. That I am having an affair with JD, James David, Vice President Vance, Candace Owens, that thinks I murdered my husband. My husband. Candace. My husband. But all these people want to do is divide. They want to make sure that we don't grow as a country, and our country is so beautiful. There are questions as to why I was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, but I wanted to look at all of those reporters that lie about me in the press. I wanted to look at them face to face, and instead of letting them talk about me, I wanted to have them talk with me, because that's what Charlie championed. Conversation. But these people don't know conversation. All they know is how to dehumanize people at their most vulnerable. Like President Trump, like the First Lady, Jimmy Kimmel calling her an expected widow. I know what that's like. I know what that's like all too well. And the media will never know, but we have to fight. America, she's worth it. I'm choosing to fight. Please choose to donate. God bless you and God bless America.
That's what she looks like to me. Okay. Now you could watch that and you can be like, oh my gosh, that person's so inauthentic. That was so funny. That was an actor. Like, how ridiculous, how absurd. That's what Erika looks like. That's what she sounds like. That's it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that wasn't even that fit. Like, that was pretty accurate.
I know, it's too accurate.
How did she even catch that little quiet things?
I don't know.
And then the faces, I don't even know. That girl.
Right.
Genius. So I just, like, I'm sorry for those that are still supporting her.
Mm-hmm.
And you all are on our side. Like, how dare you talk about it? She sounds crazy. And Leah, while we were watching these videos, she's Googling what do cocaine eyes look like? Because Erika Kirk's eyes with them pupils that are like the size of those Japanese anime things.
She doesn't blink. Like, I'm like, if you're human, blink, girl, blink. Now, we've done our exposés on Erika, so I'm not going to turn this into an Erika exposé. I just don't feel like it.
Friends.
But this is one of my biggest problems. She lies about things that she doesn't need to lie about because she needed to craft a narrative about herself, and that's why I don't trust her. She wanted to craft a narrative of this holy, righteous, I don't drink, I don't sleep around, I don't even date girl, okay? And then she's crafting this narrative for Charlie because she's a narcissist. And she has to pull Charlie in because she sees power. She sees that this kid is going somewhere. He's 5 years stinking younger than her, by the way. Do you remember that? She's what do they call those catfish?
Cougars.
2 cougars. Rawr. Okay, she's a cougar. Okay, she's 5 years younger,
Hang
Charlie.
on. Age doesn't matter, but at that age that they were, it mattered.
He had barely dated anybody, if at all ever, and she's an experienced woman.
Yeah, he was like 20, was he 23 at the time?
He's still looking at. He's still a porn addict when he meets her. She saw in him somebody that she could craft, somebody that she could control. 5 years older is a big deal between 24 and 29, a female who's been around. And here's the thing, she had to present herself
as this demure little Christian girl. I didn't really date. I didn't really have all these people behind me, just like you don't have, Charlie. You're just kind of like my one and only. And that is not true. If she said, listen, I used to party, I used to drink, I dated a lot of guys, or I dated a couple guys even, okay? Just tell the truth, but she doesn't tell the truth because she is a widow maker. Yeah.
Erika Kirk
Black
actually
widow.
had 2 boyfriends within the 5 years before meeting Charlie Kirk. So why lie about this? Before we talk about the 2 boyfriends, let's watch this clip where Erika Kirk is lying to us.
I lived out here. I was here for 5 years. I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was. Somehow getting drinks was the replacement of having coffee and breakfast. I personally would rather have coffee or brunch with someone than going, I don't drink. I find it unproductive.
I do want to pause here and talk about Erika Kirk on Summer House. Mind you, she was on season 3, which was filmed the summer of 2018. And apparently her and Charlie did start dating the summer of 2018 as well.
Cheers, everyone.
This is ridiculous.
I also
This straw,
really enjoy
yeah.
these straws.
Okay, that's good.
I think you're a bright light in a very dark place.
So let's go grab a mojito. Yeah. Totally attracted to it. Can I get your number?
Yeah.
How do you text with those nails that long too?
They're real.
I always thought it was very strange how she would go to drinks with one guy and then go to dinner with another.
I don't think Erika found that strange because I think she did the same thing. It's called dating. No one's bashing that, but I don't know why she's lying about it. And yesterday we talked about Cabot Phillips, who she dated in 2017, and it seems like they dated for the majority of the year in 2017. And yes, it's Cabot Phillips who apparently is doing the How to Lead Like Charlie college tours for TPUSA now. Interesting. But there's also another boyfriend. His name is Tyler Massey, and she dated him in 2015. Here we have them doing Fashion Week in Phoenix together. And in the caption to this photo posted by Jack Nicole, so Jack Nicole was the designer of Erika's outfit. Hashtag this photo cute couple. And here's some more photos that were posted on Twitter. Another photo, okay, another one too, because these two are just so wonderful. Hashtagged in love. This was posted March of 2015. Captioned, prepping another couple's gallery for delivery. So why lie in this interview that's like a week old?
So that's my thing. Why are you lying? What is your motivation when you have pictures up on your Instagram of you dating other guys? Cabot Phillips, who is part of Charlie's inner circle, why wouldn't you joke and say, yeah, I dated one of Charlie's friends
the year before?
The year I met, like 6 months before I met Charlie, I was dating one of his best friends. But haha, isn't that funny?
Right.
Why would you say I didn't date in New York, I didn't drink, when you're on a dating show drinking alcohol?
Right.
I'm not going to trust this girl. And you could tell me, Leah, she's a grieving widow. She's a lying widow who saw in Charlie something that she wanted, which was to be the vice. She wants to be in that circle.
I think she wanted to be,
she wanted to be powerful.
First lady.
I think she did.
She knew that Charlie would be president one day. I think we all kind of felt that. Even Donald Trump said it.
Yeah.
And so she latched onto it.
So one more thing of her lying, which why lie, and then we'll do our last story for the night, is here where she lies about Charlie Charlie texting about people wanting to kill him. There it is.
Right here.
Yeah. No.
Certain things, guardian of the home, helping with the children, help. That is so I can make it easy for my husband.
We don't have time for that one.
Okay.
That one's her not being the stay-at-home mom she says she is. You can close, keep closing until you get to it. Nope, don't close that. Don't close that. Is it to the left? It's to the left. To the left of that. Jeez. We are not being, there it is. Okay. Professional tonight.
But he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered. They're coming after me. Someone's going to kill me. He didn't say that.
Yeah.
And I have his cell phone. Didn't say that.
I hate when she's so.
He didn't say that. And I have his cell phone. Didn't say that.
She's so like the visceral like anger and violence.
I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. One thing if it was one text or two texts, it is dozens of texts.
Yes.
My really good Jewish friends are like, that's not all of us, it's all, but these are leaders too, though, right? These are stakeholders, right? I have text messages.
So we know from other videos, he was getting lambasted. He was on the way out. Guys, Charlie was on the way out. Erika has now been pushed to the front of TPUSA, getting all up close, and Donald Trump was the best president, whereas her husband was on the other side of this Iran.
If Charlie was still alive, he would have been called out along with Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and
Trump
Candace
would have
Owens.
hated him. Trump would have hated him. Remember what Trump did? It was September 11th, 2025. And they said, hey, how are you holding up after your friend Charlie is dead? And he goes, I'm holding up. I'm holding up really well. How about this ballroom? One more video from that on that. Or one more picture. I want you to see this one. This picture is stuck in my brain. I think it's to the left. We'll get to it. No. There. The one on the right.
Oh, yeah.
Guys and gals. She's wearing these pants, and I can forgive the pants because whatever. But she has a familiarity, and she's this right here. Show me a woman. That is a romantic way to hold a man. I don't care if like she does that to all men.
That makes her creepy.
That's what you call a Black Widow. That's what you call a predator. Okay? You come up and hold my husband's head like that, you aren't coming away with a hand. Okay? You're going to need a cast for that hand. Okay? And them rings, I'm ripping them off. Okay? You don't get to rub your little fingers all through my husband's hair like that. Raise your hand, ladies, if you have ever hugged another person, another man, another woman's husband, and then ran your hand up his head into his hair.
While pulling him towards you in an embrace.
While pulling him towards you in a giant front-to-front embrace. Haven't you ever heard of the church hug, girl? It's a church hug that we do. It's to the side. No. That girl don't know boundaries. And then she makes up this story about her and her mom and how they went to Israel, and Charlie just so happened to be there. And her mom's like, you should go say hi. And Mom, he's that famous person from like the United States. And like, I don't know if I should. She stalked him, roped that kid in, made him her husband with all of her blang blang. And you know what? I know she wakes up every day and she says to herself, I cannot be this beautiful for nothing. I am not in any way, shape, or form. I am marked safe from jealousy of a psychopath. Okay? Listen, there are a lot of good-looking psychopaths. And I am not jealous of a lick of them.
Yeah, but you're not jealous of anybody.
I'm not jealous of anybody, but still, like the one thing people say, because she is an extraordinarily beautiful person. But she's also extraordinarily creepy, which makes her extraordinarily ugly. And so I would not want to be like her. And guess what? I'm going to tell you something. You know what for me is attractive? And this is what some people don't understand. Honesty, integrity, and authenticity. Those things are way more attractive to me than anybody can put on some heels and fake eyelashes and get real skinny. Okay? Anybody can do that. I want to see somebody's real and authentic. All right, last story tonight. Speaking of real and authentic, Mike Winger's been doing a good job of exposing those leaders who are not.
And did you already tell everybody tonight's the last night of InfoWars?
Yesterday was. InfoWars is no more. It's now the Alex Jones show.
That's fine.
They took away the building, any InfoWars product. It all has to be rebranded.
Yeah.
And they literally took the studio.
Yeah.
They had to get a whole new building.
Unbelievable. But Alex isn't going anywhere. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So here is Mike Winger. And he says Greg Locke has some pretty crazy allegations against Kenneth Copeland and Joe Osteen. And if they're true, you better bring receipts. If not, you better bring repentance.
This is not for entertainment. This is very serious stuff. I'm deeply concerned about what Greg Locke said about Joel Osteen and Kenneth Copeland. And the fact that Greg Locke later went silent about it and may have even removed some of the evidence of what he said. He accuses them of being PDF files, you're supposed to say on YouTube, I'm told, of you know what, and worse stuff as well, especially for Copeland. He says he has evidence of it, and I've asked him to bring that evidence forth. I'll show you what he said in response to me later in the video. He seems reluctant to do so. I don't know what's going on for real, guys, but I'm trying to bring this into the public square because light disinfects. And if there is something to these accusations, then they should be chased down. But also, if Greg was lying, which would be the most wild, insane lies I've ever heard, if these are lies that he's telling, then he should be held accountable and he should publicly repent of those things. What's the truth of it? Well, somebody out there knows. And I think we need to talk about it. So this is because I'm dealing with cover-up culture, especially in the charismatic church, and this is absolutely connected to that in some ways, some significant ways. This is the first clip where he's talking about mostly about Copeland, but he also mentions Joel Osteen. Listen to what he says. We're going to break it down a little bit because it is very significant. This is not entertainment. This is not for fun. This is because Scripture tells us to raise our voice for the oppressed and for the afflicted and to defend people, especially children, who are in need.
Full-blown, demon-possessed Satan worshipers like Kenneth Copeland, the most powerful pastor in America. He's a demon and he's going to hell, and you tell him I said so. I'm about to kick his pulpit over and preach wide slam open tonight.
Now, some of you might disregard what he's about to say because you feel like he's yelling, and he's obviously, I mean, he is the way he is. But listen to the specific details he gives about this. He's like, I have evidence, I have proof, and that really matters because one way or another, there should be some kind of accountability for this.
That low-down, sorry sex trafficking rapist.
Sex trafficking, rapist, and then he'll add pedophile. This is about Kenneth Copeland he's talking.
I wish to God he would take me to court. I wish to God that demon would take me to court. I'll show the pictures I've got.
He says he has pictures. That's evidence, okay? He's saying you can't take me to court because I have the proof. This was years ago. This was 4 or 5 years ago. It's difficult to tell because as far as I can tell, he's removed this video from his website or from his YouTube channel. If it's there, I can't find it. Now, I could find the other clip I'll show you in a second where he talks more about Osteen, but I couldn't find this one. And since then, since this has happened, Greg Locke has gone quiet in his criticisms of a lot of these guys. He said, oh, I had a bad season there and I've repented of that. Now he's actually been coming against me a lot recently about me criticizing people. And you've got to wonder, like, what is going on behind the scenes? He said he had the evidence. He should have brought it forward. He should have brought it to the police, to the FBI. He should have also done something to protect victims, because if there is someone who's doing this stuff, they don't usually stop. There's probably more.
You ever send another dime to that low-down, sorry pedophile? I pray God curses your finances. I'm sick of these demon-worshiping pastors like Joel Osteen. Look, I'm just going to say it tonight. I don't care what the news media says. Joel Osteen ain't going to sue Greg Locke. I wished you would. Dude's worth so many millions of dollars, it's ridiculous. Why don't they sue the hillbilly preacher? I'll tell you why. Because he knows I'm right. I'm going to call them all out when I have to. You say, oh my goodness, you mean to tell me that Joel Osteen?
What he's about to say, again, this is the kind of thing that if you have this sort of knowledge and you can prove it, as he's saying he can, which is why he's like, oh, take me to court, I dare you to. But this is not a game, Greg Locke. This is not a game. You go public with this, or you take it to the authorities, and if that doesn't work, or if you're not able to navigate it that way, then you just go public with it. That's what you do. That's how you protect people. Now, is it true? I don't know. Greg Locke has been caught in all kinds of stuff in the past, and things that make you question his character. But he's laid down the gauntlet, and one way or another, either he should be held accountable or they should be held accountable. It's one or the other.
He's that way with women? No, I'm here to tell you Joel Osteen's that way with boys. By the way, you ever heard of a dead man switch? Well, just in case they come and try to suicide me, I got one of them. Let them chase me down. Huh? It'll all go on the internet.
The only way what he said there makes any sense is if he has evidence to prove the accusations he just made, that Copeland is a rapist, sex trafficker, pedophile, and that Osteen is a pedophile, and he has evidence and proof of it. Little boys is the phrase he used, and now he's saying he has a kill switch, and then everything will go out there. Now, is that him lying? I don't know. I've asked him. He will not talk to me. I'll show you what he said to me on Twitter, and it's not good. I'll show you that in a second, but there's going to be more. I want to show you what else he said about Osteen in the second clip I'll play for you today.
Every last drop of it. Tom Hanks, Oprah, and all them pedophiles. Okay.
Now, there's obvious reason to question whether what he's saying is true. I don't know if it's true or not, but at least to question it. He's bombastic, he exaggerates. He's been caught in some questionable stuff in the past, and you can look into that for yourself if you want to, including marital issues of whatever. I'm not going to get into all that stuff, and but it has to do with his qualifications to even be in a position he's in. Now, Why did he go quiet on these things? That's the big question. I'm going to come back to that after I play this next clip for you. This is him talking more about Joel Osteen. And again, someone should be held accountable for this stuff. And because I think that it might have merit, and because it sat dormant for years and nothing has happened on these things for years, which means that if it is true, there could be real world victims really suffering. And the stuff that I've learned over the past, year and a half or whatever has blown my mind. And I know that you shouldn't just ignore these things. They should be chased down to see what the truth of them is.
You mark my word, God's going to expose every one of these suckers. Every one of these devils. God's going to expose them all.
This is him from December 8th, 2021. That's when this is. And this sermon is actually still on his website, and it's still on his YouTube channel. I cannot find the Copeland one. That one I can't find anywhere, although it was from the same pulpit, I believe, because he has this like wooden unique pulpit. Anyway, you can try to figure out that. I spent plenty of time looking for it. Couldn't find it anywhere. It looks like he removed it.
So look, so don't put me on a pedestal, okay? But they ain't gonna come arrest me for none of that nonsense. But I just want to say this. Be careful who you listen to, who you read, and who you watch. Because some of your heroes are going to jail. And I'll go one step further. Some of your heroes are going to hell.
Now he's going to talk about Joel Osteen specifically in a second. And you can tell he's sort of deciding in the moment if he's going to mention names or not. At least that's what it looks like.
Some of your preaching heroes are going to hell. They've never been born again a day in their life. They are hirelings. They are crooks.
So are you.
And I'm telling you, they are going to drag them out of their pulpits, kicking and screaming in handcuffs. And you can tell Joel Osteen I said so because he's one of them. He's a...
Now he's going to say it again. He's a what? Listen to this accusation. This is huge. This is significant. This is about criminal behavior. It's also about harming children. All right. Is it true? I'm not saying for a second that it's true. I just don't know. But Greg Locke, the spotlight is on you. You brought it up. You say you have the evidence. You need to come forward with it. You need to go and do something with this because it's absolutely inappropriate. Now, I've asked you to talk to me about this, and you said you owe me nothing. I'll show the tweet where he responded to me. So that's why I'm going to go public with it to create pressure that he might do the right thing.
Pedophile and a crook, and everybody knows it, and I don't care how mad you get.
Everybody knows it? Like, okay, I don't know it. But I knew this, that when I found out about Sean Bowles, I then dug deeper into Sean Bowles and found out that everybody didn't know it. If you mean by everybody, you mean the leadership, the elites, the people who get to be informed and know everything that's going on, just the very top tier of those who are the sort of the power brokers in the movement. Are there people who know stuff? I don't. If I knew it, I'd go forward. I wouldn't sit on it for years if I knew something like that.
You can leave anytime you want to. Joel Osteen belongs in prison. And if that makes you nervous, you can go to First Baptist or Joy or any other church in this town. Huh? I'm telling you, you mark my word, I'll step down as your pastor if it ain't true, I'm telling you right now. I'll stop preaching if what I'm telling you is not true.
This is a great deal because it's just either he steps down or it's true and we expose somebody for doing something. It's a win-win, okay? So I jest somewhat, but there's a lot more that can be said about Greg Locke. I don't want to do a whole devoted video to Greg Locke. I have no desire to do that. He's been beefing with me on Twitter a little bit because he's upset that I'm exposing people, exposing Todd Wyatt, exposing Benny Hinn, people he used to complain about, and now he's on their side. What changed, Greg? What changed? You say in the past that you have evidence that these people, in particular these two names you mentioned, are doing these horrible, illegal, immoral things that every alarm bell should be going off as loud as possible and they should be arrested and put in prison years ago based on the evidence you say you have. Then you switch to defending people. Then you're defending them. You're not saying bad things about them, negative things about them, and you're criticizing people like me who are helping to expose what is going on behind the scenes. Yes, it's extremely suspicious. Yes.
Okay, so Greg Locke has issued some sort of like throwdown, and once hang on, I'm gonna find it here because it's over here. Greg Locke says he wants to throw down with Mike Winger. He wants to say, I challenge Mike Winger to a live sit down. Like, actually, maybe you can find this, Mike Winger status, to a live sit down, like actually together in the same. Yeah, that's it. In the same room. We can use both of our platforms to stream it: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, Rumble, all of them, raw, uncut. Nothing off the limits, straight Bible. What about it, Mike? You've purposely tried to destroy lives, ministries, and reputations, including my own, with situations you know nothing about. You act cute and calm behind all of your heavily edited videos, have a real conversation, balls in your court. And I don't know who Ruslan is, but he says, I will if Ruslan moderates. Ruslan.
Well, real quick, Greg Locke has asked me, challenged me to a discussion, sit down in person to talk about, he said anything and everything. I'm willing to do this, Greg, if we can focus it on things that are actually important. My original concern is that you made claims that pertain to the safety of children, minors, victims, and if the stuff you said about Joel Osteen or Kenneth Copeland is true, then you need to present the evidence, man, and go forward with it. And if it was lies, if it was not true, then you need to clear their names, because even if I disagree with them on things and think they're, Copeland in particular is a bad guy, that doesn't mean that we can make stuff up about people. And so I'm asking for you to do the right thing. However, if this conversation is part of a way of doing that, then I'll agree to it. If we can get Ruslan to be the guy that does the moderating, we need a moderator who can make sure it's not just on, under my control and under your control. I think he'd be a good guy to do it. He said he's up for it, and he's maybe moderated stuff like debates or discussions before. And it's focused. It's about something specific, has some structure. I'm willing to do it under those conditions. So you asked, that's my answer.
That would be awesome. I know that name though. So why do we know the name? Let's look it up. We'll find out who it is. So I think that this is hilarious. I don't think that it's actually gonna, Greg is very bombastic and he throws stuff out there because it sounds good in the moment, but then he backs out because he's a coward.
He's a coward.
He's a complete coward.
Well, he's a coward because he lies. And when you don't have the truth really in your court, you are going to back out from things because you don't have a reason to tell the truth, right? I wanted to show you guys this real quick. James Comey is
Good afternoon.
Going to face
Today,
some charges,
a
but
grand
not for
jury
what you
sitting
would
in
hope.
the Eastern District of North Carolina returned an indictment against James Comey on 2 counts. The first count is that on or about May 15th of last year, he knowingly and willfully making a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm
8645.
upon
That's him.
the President of the United
Oh,
States.
yeah.
Count 2, same day, May 15th, 2025, that the defendant, James Comey, knowingly and willfully transmitting in interstate commerce a communication that contained a threat to kill the President of the United States.
So he put in seashells on the beach, 8645, which means
everybody knows.
Kill the President Trump. I don't know if this is going to have any teeth to it. Do you think that?
Yeah, I do actually. I am somewhat. This is the guy that he was talking about. You guys have all seen him. He's a YouTuber, the Ruslan guy. FYI.
Okay, and finally, this is other good news for today. Where did it go? I must have lost it for you.
What was it?
We left the WHO. That's part of the story, the main story today.
Didn't we cover that at the start of the show?
No.
You didn't play the John F. Kennedy thing?
Nope.
Oh, do I? Oh boy. Okay.
So to
Screen
round
share.
off
Kennedy Jr.,
our pandemic specials, what we should have probably called it, right? We spent a lot of time on the pandemic today and vaccines. It's really important. Glyphosate. The WHO caused more harm to the world in 2020 and 2021 and 22 than anything else really could. And so we have left the WHO.
HHS secretary. On Thursday,
The one thing Trump hates is being under anybody else.
Yeah.
States formally withdrew from the World Health Organization. We made this decision to reclaim our independence, to protect American sovereignty, and to free our public health policy from a system that no longer serves the American people. The World Health Organization has lost its way. It's drifted far from its founding mission, and it's become mired in bureaucracy, in conflicts of interest, and in international power politics. During the COVID pandemic, those failures weren't just abstract, they were deadly. The world watched as transparency collapsed, accountability disappeared, and ordinary citizens paid the price. That hasn't changed, and it isn't improving. President Trump recognized the problems with WHO immediately. In fact, one of his very first executive orders of his second term began the formal process of withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization. It was an early, decisive signal that American health policy would answer to the American people and not to foreign bureaucracies. Today, we're completing that action. Protecting Americans here at home and abroad is our top priority. And that's why my team at HHS, working closely with the HHS career civil servants and scientists and the State Department, has strengthened our biosecurity, upgraded disease surveillance, improved outbreak preparedness, and expanded the rapid response capabilities for any public health emergency wherever it begins. We don't need outside institutions to do that. Going forward, U.S. engagement with the WHO will be limited solely to completing our withdrawal and safeguarding the health and safety of the American people. All U.S. funding has ended. All government U.S. personnel have stopped working there. I believe this deeply, that only the United States has the scale, the innovation, and the leadership to drive global health solutions that put people first, starting with our own citizens. Although we are withdrawing from the WHO, America will never withdraw from its leadership in global health. America will continue to lead. We will lead with science, with integrity, and with transparency, and with accountability. And let me say this clearly. For the Americans who died alone in nursing homes, the small businesses that were destroyed by reckless mandates, the families whose lives were upended by unelected foreign officials who never answered to them, this decision is for you. Thank you.
So I just asked Leah to look something up because I'm really curious about this. I'm really excited that we've left the WHO, and it's really exciting for, I think, other countries hoping to maybe do the same thing. However, when he says that all American employees are going to leave the WHO, I want to know what's the plan for those employees. Are they just fired, or is America going to, I mean, will they be, absorbed into other American
Recalling
health?
all U.S. government personnel and contractors, but where
will they go? Will they be employed? Because this is what we have seen time and time again, where the same bad actors get reabsorbed. So that it looks like they get fired and it looks like something's really going to happen, but they just get shuffled around, and the same policies and the same. So I am very, very happy. Don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of holding it with an open hand. Like, they all just need to be fired. Like, goodbye.
The U.S. The U.S. employees, government personnel, and contractors who were working for the WHO were not laid off. They were recalled.
See, they're going to just get put someplace else.
They will just be put somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you're right, Michelle. You tend to call things like they are. At last, they need to see this. So the Camilla came with King Charles, and for some reason, Melania Trump is obsessed or being paid to promote this weird children AI dystopia that I can't.
Oops, did I just close it?
You did.
Okay. Did you retweet it?
I have to unretweet it.
I'm so sorry. It was an accident.
Okay.
Jeez. Just
Okay.
push retweet.
If I do it wrong, sometimes it goes away and I lose it.
Oh, okay.
This is scary. Children are outside at the fake lawn because there's no more lawn. You would know if she's beautiful or lovely because you have virtual reality goggles on.
That's so dumb.
That's scary. It's scary and wrong, and I don't want it. And they want us all. We talked about this. I'll end with that. They want us all on GLP-1 so that we're never hungry, so that we don't eat.
Yeah.
They want to praise people who are on the GLP-1s who are super skinny, so then you don't consume food or anything anymore. They want you inside, on the goggles, out of the national parks, not living your life, and gas at $5 a gallon, so you can't go anywhere. House prices are out of reach for every millennial. And what we didn't cover tonight was a video that was totally disheartening from a young man who said he is 30 years old and he hasn't had, none of his friends have children. Yeah. They don't have children because they don't know how to meet a mate. And then on top of that, if they do meet a mate, they don't feel financially sound enough to have children, and they can't buy a home because homes are too expensive.
That's not any of what he said, but that's still good. It's still part of a lot of the things that we've been watching lately and Wednesday's show. Yeah. All he said was that essentially nobody his age is having kids, and he's 30. He doesn't have a single friend that is having kids. And that a lot of young guys won't ask a girl out. They won't approach a girl. They won't go dancing. They won't do all these things because they're afraid that they're going to be recorded.
There's that.
Right. And then he also goes into this long thing about how the dating apps are not designed to help you find a spouse. They're designed to keep you coming back to the app. And so it was a really, really good clip I shared with Leah. So 15 minutes that he says 8 ball. My rounding off thoughts for tonight and for everything that's going on right now is this. I was walking out of the bathroom earlier and I felt like I kind of got a bit of an epiphany because we're watching a show that I don't recommend anybody watch. Only because there's so much has to be fast forwarded through. Otherwise, it's incredibly fascinating about the Church of the Latter-day Saints and the
Mormons
and the Mormons, the LDS and the cult.
Michelle has to interpret my vernacular.
Momans?
The Momans.
Okay. All right. It's super fascinating for me, but what you find is you find the extremist Mormons.
Yeah.
And what they're called the fundamentalists that believe in the polygamy, marrying the children, blood atonement, where like you help someone essentially get to heaven by killing them and spilling their blood on the ground and all these like crazy, wacky things. And yet the modern Church of Latter-day Saints totally disavows all of that. And it's in like there's a whole explaining away of how Joseph Smith got everything else right, but got that wrong, and Brigham Young and all this. But within the Church of Latter-day Saints, there's a giant cover-up that, and the show is kind of showcasing this, that even though there are people within the LDS who don't want that to be a part of Mormonism, they hate it, they know it's wrong, they think it's disgusting, they will cover up for the people within, because we can't allow disunity and we can't allow bad press. We can't allow Mormons to be looked upon disfavorably. We have found that exact same thing going on within the church movement and the charismatic movement, amongst the Mike Bickles and all of that, that there's this, you handle it within the church because, and who's the one down in Florida that did a lot of cover up for this, that just passed away recently? Allie Beth Stuckey's pastor. That they keep everything within. They will keep women abused. They, even though they know that something might be wrong, they just keep it under the rug. They try to get them help. They don't ever go to the police, right? Because you can't have disunity. It's covering up for the greater good is, we handle it internally. The Catholic Church has done this. Okay. And the giant thing that is said consistently in these cults is, if you, who know that there is a crime or it has been done against you, if you make it public, if you speak out about it, if you say anything about it, you are causing division. You are going to cause the world to look bad upon us and our church and our people and our religion and our whatever. And you're the enemy, because we have to keep it under wraps because the greater good. And that's my life for the past 3 years. Where MAGA has come at me and all the Trump supporters have come at me, and they did this to us going up into 2024. And they said, you can't talk bad about Trump, Michelle. You can't call out the bad things that are going on. You can't say that anything that he is doing is wrong because the greater good. And yet these same people would look at everything that I just said and say, yeah, the Church of Latter-day Saints covering up pedophilia and marrying child brides and marrying sister wives and blood atonement, them covering that up is wrong. They should make it public. They should speak out about it no matter what it does to the Church of Latter-day Saints. You would say that about Allie Best. Why can't I not remember his name? The one that said that governments in Romans 13 and all that, we shouldn't have the Revolutionary War.
Oh, she likes it. It's not, that wasn't her pastor.
Well, whatever his name is. Like, all of these people would say that's all wrong. You should never cover anything up. Right. You should never apologize. You should never not speak out about something that you know is patently false or wrong or goes against your belief or goes against the Bible. You should never do that for the greater good. And I was walking out of the bathroom and I thought, that's exactly what all of my mega Trump supporting friends are telling me that I have to do. And so what is the conclusion that I am left to draw from that? It's a cult. Anytime someone tells you to shut up for the greater good of your organization, you're part of a cult, guys. So when Leah and I are over here and we're like, listen, this is wrong and this is wrong and this, this rubs me the wrong way. I know that Trump saying that abortion up to 6 months is okay is wrong. And then not you guys, anybody that's left is, I know you get it, but then they're coming at me saying you're causing division. And I do know how many comments that I see from people still on like almost every post that we make. You guys are just dividing. You're dividing mega. You're dividing mega. Well, I'm watching a show where this guy's a cop and he's a Mormon himself, and his Mormon people who don't believe in polygamy and all this crazy stuff are telling him that because he's pursuing a murder that he's being divisive. And I'm going, oh my gosh. So what does that mean? It means that just like, I think it was 8-Ball that said to Sherry that she was right over the target. We're right over the target, guys. And when you are part of a cult, you are under a delusion. And in this show, which again, I'm not recommending it for anybody because it's too much to fast forward through, which I did fast forward through, just by the way, in case anybody finds it and watches it. Like, Michelle, did you watch this? No. Normally we do VidAngel. But she was fascinated by the storyline itself, exposing I couldn't believe that Hollywood would expose the LDS like this. I'm shocked still. When you are waking up from a cult, because the cop is waking up from like, oh my gosh, maybe everything that I believed, because it's so secretive, you know. Glenn Beck's part of this. Like, does he take these? They think they get a planet. It's crazy. Their leader, literally, it was an insane psychopath, sociopath, whatever name you want to give him. Like, Joseph Smith was psychotic cult leader. So was Brigham Young. Sorry to any of my Mormon people out there, but I'm like, sorry. Okay. Point is, we are watching people in real time wake up from the Trump cult. And I want to say that most of the people that I know that support Trump at some point are going to wake up from the cult, from the delusion, because prior to Trump, you were not under this delusion. And so unless you are predisposed, like unfortunately a lot of the QAnon people, to a mental disability, I believe you will wake up. I believe that they will wake up. I believe that you will start putting pieces together on your own and you will wake up. And that is my prayer. And we are watching it in real time. And so even though Tulsi Gabbard's coming out and Todd Blanche they're doing a lot of really great things, and I'm happy about those things, that doesn't change my understanding of the way that Trump doesn't care about the little guy and is all about the big automotive. Michelle, we didn't elect a pastor, we elected a businessman. So the businessman that is trying to bring America's bank account up at the sake of Americans' bank account is not the businessman that I think that we need, because it's not America's bank account that I'm worried about. It's yours. And what they're doing is they're bleeding yours dry. Tariffs that all of you guys told us would work and would be great, but now we've all paid twice over for. Didn't like what I had to say there. Hang on, we froze. Let's see if we'll come back. I'm sure you can still hear us, so let me see if I can redo the camera here. Our computer did the thing again. So anyway, I am hopeful. I am hopeful more or less that people are going to wake up and we will come out of this stronger than ever before, because it's not about the big picture. I know it seems that way. It starts with you. It starts with us. It starts with what are we doing in our own lives, because God is not concerned with the big picture like you think that he is. I mean, he is. But God cares more about your heart than he does this gigantic picture, because he knows that if you guys, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, it's not a collective repentance as much as it is an individual repentance of a lot of people. Okay, it's not like, oh, we repent for our nation's sins. No, it's a bunch of people repenting of their individual sins. And that's where I think that we're headed. And I think that a lot of you guys are finding out that this spiritual battle that we are in the middle of, we're not going to get raptured out of. We're going to get through it. And it's up to us to be the founding fathers of our era, not by protesting or by doing this. For the podcast listeners, I'm pointing at George Washington on his knees. That's what we have to do. And that's how we will change it. And it literally is on our shoulders. Where this heads is on us. And it starts in your relationship with God. That's it. So, Leah, that's really scary. For the podcast listeners, she's doing an Erika Kirk eyeball thing. See, the podcast listeners, I don't even know that they know what's going on. that's kind of it. It is, Leah. It's so creepy. Oh my gosh, you're killing me. Sherry says there is an obvious difference between Trump's first presidency and this time around. See, I would love it if it was just the invasion of the body snatchers. Maybe he was replaced.
With himself.
Yeah, we have to run the good race. Amen. Well said, Sherry. All right, so
No show Sunday.
No. 8-Ball says, "Oh, I didn't get it. I thought she was spasming." Are you kidding me? Is that a joke? I can't with you. All right, so no show on Sunday. We're doing a craft show. We will not be here. I'm still stuck on Leah's thing. Leah's eyeball. Sharon says the soulless eyes. Erika is a Black Widow. The show and the podcast is on air now as the Alex Jones Show. Baker Mom, long time no see. I think I'm seeing from some of your comments that you might be a little bit disappointed with our stance on Trump. And Baker Mom's been with us for a very, very long time. She's original gangster. OG resistance chicks. You'll have to be caught up. I don't have time to get into it now, but I am really glad that you're here. Let's see. Rumble is frozen. Oh, that was from earlier. Okay. I think we got it fixed. I think we're A-okay. Let me check one more place for comments here, and then we're going to sign off. The spiritual battle has been going on probably before God created mankind. Yeah. Very good. Okay. So, Leah, you don't have heavy enough makeup, says 8-Ball. You don't do the black. We don't. I don't know how those women try to pull off the black dark makeup. I tried to do it the other day and I can't stand it. I don't even wear eyeliner underneath my eye because I look terrible. It's not me. I don't know how to do it. Cogburn says, this is what I know. Trump is 4 years, a stepping stone to 2028. We are coming off of a government with Somalia daycare learning centers governance. Yeah, leering centers. I'm sorry, I missed. You actually spelled it correctly. You spelled it leering, and I said learning. That's an inside joke that if you guys don't get, I don't know where you've been. MB Stu earlier says that sounds like Israel's greater Israel's. I'm just reading some comments from those of you that I don't normally see in the chat. Cogbird says Catholics do the same with pedos, cover for them in the matter of crime. It's
true.
Yes, they do. Absolutely. John MacArthur is the pastor I'm looking for. Kimberly, oh, you're here.
Kimberly did it.
She's here at the end. Yeah.
Kim, it's always you.
She always has the answer.
You always are the kid in the class with the answer.
She is. She's really good. Yeah, exactly. All right. So speaking of our craft show that we're doing on Sunday, which is, I'm super excited about it. The weather's going to be perfect.
Is it? Praise God.
It's going to be 65 and no rain.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
A little cloudy, but so they won't have like a ton of sun and all that.
The Madeira Art Fair, if you're in Cincinnati.
Yes, it's the Madeira Art Fair. Yeah, on Euclid and what's the other one? It's actually on Shoot.
They're just Madeira, downtown Madeira.
Yeah, downtown. It's gold star for me, says Kimberly. You're hilarious. Chris says, thanks for covering so much ground tonight. God bless. We have made like every single product that we have brand new.
I gotta make the deodorants in the
glass container.
Glass containers tomorrow.
Yeah. I know, Sherry. She says, great show, but it was over 3 hours, Michelle. I told him at the start that we wanted to keep them at like 2.5. Okay, my monologue at the end lasted like maybe 7 minutes, and you ran the whole rest of the show. So I didn't know what I mean. It wasn't 10 minutes. No, everybody vote. Leah keeps thinking that Michelle makes the shows go late because sometimes I wrap up with some like news commentary.
We had a lot to cover, and
and we're not doing a Sunday show.
I read the whole story from that woman because I felt like it was important.
We did a whole of a lot of things. We did Mike Winger's whole thing.
We did a lot.
We did. All right. So I'm so sorry it went so late. We're trying. We're aiming to be better.
Was a massive fail.
Yeah, it was. No, but it was such a great show. So good job, Leah.
But a big win.
So anyway, shop.resistancechicks.com. We are going to be doing a Mom Day sale. So let me go ahead and just start that now, although I will not be shipping anything out until like Tuesday. I think last time I used promo code MOM10. We'll do that again.
Moms are awesome.
So Mother's Day is coming up. I will get, here's the deal. If you make an order like from now until like Wednesday, I'm going to get those out as soon as I can so they can possibly have them in time for Mother's Day. If you live on the West Coast, I have zero control. Like anything Missouri and on, it takes like 11 days. I'm so sorry about that. I have no control whatsoever, no matter how much I pay for shipping. So just know that. But I do try to get them out. Like Leah can tell you, I like really try to get stuff out
it's May,
to the point. Yeah.
It's May.
It is May. Today's May 1st, so you can show them the May. Nope, that's not May. That's June. So tell them what the picture of May is. That's June.
Okay, this is so fun. This is out in Hillsboro, where we go to Amish country. And
Speaking
this
to the mic.
This is a sheep farm. And those are our piglets here and our piglets here. And the recipe is going to be, let's see, chicken coop whitewash. Teach you how to whitewash your chicken coop. And tomato tune-up on how to plant, like the best recipe to put in the ground when you're planting tomatoes. I'll let you know. Crushed eggshells or oyster shells, bone meal and blood meal, Epsom salts, wood ash. And actually, please be saving your hair and pet hair because tomatoes love it. They'll go, pfft.
That's good.
Grab that nitrogen right out. We've got...
you can't give it all away. Let them look at it. Like if the people that already have it, you don't want to give it away. They may not have time to look at it yet.
Look at it now.
No, let them do it. I wouldn't want to
Are
surprise.
you
Like,
doing
ruin the
any
football
more
game, like-
offer, May?
We probably will. I don't have time to do it for a couple of days. Just because we're trying to get ready. Tomorrow's big day for
I got to
me.
do a big stretch.
All right,
Yeah.
so 8 Ball, you know better. I think you just heard no show. No show on Sunday. He's like, what time on Sunday? No show.
Sorry.
But he says
Ball.
it's fine. Love the coverage. Good night, everyone. Thanks, sisters. God bless. All right, so yeah, I think that's it. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. We love you. God loves you. God bless. We will see you on Tuesday night. And don't forget Corey Gray live in the house on Wednesday. He's got a lot he wants to talk about Kingdom. So we're going to have a really, really fun Revelation Red Pill with Corey Gray in the house live on Wednesday. It's been a very, very long time.
He's been making waves.
He has been definitely making waves. All right, so I think that's it. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. I hope you have a wonderful, blessed weekend, that it's dry, that it's sunny, that it's wonderful, and that you have time to spend with your family and go plant some plants. All right, bye, guys. God bless.